Good evening. Welcome to the Charahoe Regional School District's School Committee meeting for Tuesday, March 10th. Thank you all for being here. We're going to reconvene open session.
I recommend closing and sealing the executive session minutes as they pertain to the acquisition of real property for public purposes wherein advanced public information would be detrimental to public interest.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Looks like unanimous.
I recommend closing and sealing the executive session minutes as they pertain to the privacy of students and their records.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, I'm going to ask our clerk, district clerk, Angela Brazil, to disclose the executive session votes, please. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There were 4 votes tonight in the executive session. The first was a vote taken on property. There were 1 abstention amongst our public here, and the rest were all approves. We had approval of the executive session minutes from February 10th, 2026. Again, 1 abstention, Mr. Lowe. We had approval for homeschoolers, and that was a unanimous vote, and a move back to open session, also a unanimous vote.
Thank you, Angela. And speaking of Mr. Lowe, I want to welcome Ed Lowe from Hopkinton as our new school committee member. Ed, welcome. All right, recognition. We have several areas of recognition this evening, and as usual, I have asked members of the school committee to participate in that recognition this evening. So first, I will turn it over to Diane Teft to read the recognition for sports.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Sports, indoor track state meet, 2:14:26. Lydia Tabor set school records in the 55 meter and 300 meter at 41.47 run. Meriden Algae, state championship in the 100 meter run. Boys 4x800 relay teammates, Isaac Graham, Gus Freelove, Ethan McCain, and Leo Haxton are state champs and qualified for nationals. Boys swim division championships, also 2:14:26. South County Swim Co-op finished 4th in the state. Charahoe swimmers are Benjamin Labonte, Dominic Giordano, Ian McInnes, and Jameson Cooley. Girls swim division championship, 2:15:26. Westerly Charahoe Girls Swim Co-op finished 3rd at the Division II championships after coming off an undefeated regular season. Special shout out to Sonia Beasley for earning 2nd place in the 200 and 500 yard freestyle. And congratulations to our 1st place relay teams. On both the 200 and the 400 yard relay teams, Alexia McCabe, Olivia O'Neill, and Sonia Beasley. On the 200 yard relay team, Peyton, help me here.
I'm sorry,
Traska.
Petraska. On the 400 yard relay team, Avery Lamb. Okay. And Charahoe High School, State Pro Start Competition. Senior students, Natalie Vernon, Rachel Gillis, Madison Newitt, Ava O'Brien won 2nd place in the competition and were awarded $12,000 each in a scholarship to JWU.
Wow.
Junior students, Logan Burdos, Liliana Janot, Madison Newicki, and Rosie Spasato won 1st place and were each awarded a $20,000 scholarship to JWU. Congratulations to all the students and their teachers, Donald Fair, for these amazing accomplishments.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, Jess Purcell will now recognize the Poetry Out Loud contest.
Okay, Charahoe's School Level Poetry Out Loud contest this year was won by Holly Shalale. Holly will represent Charahoe in the Poetry Out Loud State Competition on Saturday, 3/7, I guess she already did, at the Providence Public Library. Congratulations to our runners-up, Kelly Drake and Lillian Hall. We are very proud of all the students who participated in this year's competition by memorizing and reciting a variety of poems that celebrate America's 250th anniversary. We also thank our judges, Rebecca Burns, Johanna LaFountain, Regan Clark, Tatiana Sullivan, and Jasmine Lerner.
All right, and our school committee member, Linda Lyall, will read the Rhode Island Art Anchor Awards. Linda.
Good evening. Please join me to congratulate the following students on their awards at the 2026 Rhode Island Art Anchor Awards. The following were winners. Sonia Beasley, grade 11. She won Best in Category for her ceramics, a piece called Downward Spiral of Coral Bleaching. Chloe Burns, grade 12, won an Anchor Award for photography for her photo of Cupcake. Talia Lodge, grade 9, won an award for Visual Arts Studio Pathway, which was an Anchor Award in printmaking for her piece Crowd. Glowy Peas, grade 12, won the Social Justice Wave Award for You Are What They Eat, which was a sculpture. Grace Reynolds, grade 12, won an Anchor Award for Mixed Media for a flower triptych. And Lydia Tabor, grade 12, was Best in Category in the film video area for her film video on, it was called Baking. The following students were honorable mentions. Finley Butler, grade 11, in the area of photography for the photograph Cooper. Carissa Conroy, grade 12, in the area of photography for the photograph Bumblebee. Michael Finch, grade 10, for a photograph called The Little Big Lady. Anthony Tony Giglimo, Tony, grade 12, for a sculpture called The End of the Record. Lillian Hall, grade 10, one for a drawing called Christmas Diet Coke. Ada Gray Catter, grade 10, for a drawing called Latundra Foot. Regan Marsh, grade 11, for a photography, Strength in Stillness. Mackenzie McKnight, grade 12, for the area of ceramics, for a piece called Flowers Bloom. Sadie Mitkowski, grade 12, it was a mixed media piece. It was called Red Supergiant Triptych, which are a set of 3 photos. Emily Murphy, grade 12, for a photograph of photography in a piece called Untitled. Sasha Rogers, grade 12, for a drawing called Good Boy. And Sophia Witala, grade 12, for a mixed media piece called Whitney Brings Joy. Congratulations to all these students.
Thank you, Linda.
There is an exhibition currently on display at the Alex Anani Building at the Rhode Island College through March 17th. We encourage you to join us for the closing reception on March 15th from 1:45 to 2:45. And I believe some of these pieces, those photographs of the pieces online, and they're amazing. The students are just amazing, what they can produce. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
All right, we're going to move on to public forum. And there are some people signed up for public forum where it says the topic for discussion budget. So I am going to ask for those of you that signed up for public forum with that topic that you wait until we get to the budget section of the agenda. I do have some comments before we start public forum, so if you'll indulge me. Members of the public, I appreciate your being here tonight as we consider very important issues that will impact the future of the Charahoe School District. I realize that there are passionate people who represent various viewpoints that are here tonight. With that being said, I'm going to reinforce that we must hold ourselves to the highest standards of decorum and civility this evening. That means please refrain from shouting, yelling, booing, interrupting, or engaging in any action that disrupts a public meeting, this public meeting. I spoke with our district attorney today, John Anderson, and Chief Elwood Johnson. regarding the unfortunate incident at last week's financial town meeting and ask for their input on steps that I could take as chair to keep our meeting tonight civil and productive. Attorney Anderson suggested that if someone from the public disrupts our meeting, they be given one verbal warning. If that same individual is disruptive a second time, then I will direct the Richmond Police to remove you from the auditorium. Chief Johnson also sent me a state statute that the Richmond Police relies on for public meetings. That statute is Chapter 11-11-1, entitled Disturbance of Public Assembly, which generally states, and I quote, "Every person who shall willfully interrupt and disturb any town or ward meeting, any assembly of people meeting for religious worship, any military funeral or memorial service, any public or private school, either within or without the place where the meeting or school is held, shall be imprisoned for 1 year or be fined not exceeding $500, unquote. I'll remind you that that is the statute, not my rules. I'm hoping that the police will not have to engage in removing anyone from this meeting. So this is the public forum portion of the agenda. Those who signed up to speak will be asked to come to the podium and state your name and town that you reside. You're welcome to speak during public forum about items not on the agenda, which I said earlier. Per our public forum policy, the speaker who makes a public statement has the responsibility to be accurate, present facts, present information based upon personal knowledge, not hearsay, and be considerate and allow others to speak without interruption. I have to be mindful of ensuring decorum and also being mindful of time management. With that being said, I'm asking our community members to refrain from cheering, clapping, booing, shouting, and disrupting the speaker who has the floor. Okay, per our policy, public comment is not to exceed 30 minutes. So we do have a number of speakers tonight. So again, there were a number of speakers who signed up for the budget. So I'm just going to say out loud the items for discussion that reference the budget. And that was Helen Sheehan of Richmond, Cara Teolis of Charlestown, Barb Cardoza of Richmond, Carrie Ann Coleman of Hopkinton, and Jennifer Sylvia says budget and technology. Scott Sunderland says budget. So again, if it's a budget-related comment, I'm just going to ask that you just wait until we get to the budget section of the agenda, which is right after our business. Okay? So we have a number of speakers here tonight, and each of you will be given, I'm going to say, 2 minutes to speak. I'm going to ask Polly Hopkins to keep the time. Laura Chapman is not here this evening, so I'm going to ask Polly to keep the time. And I'll give as much latitude as I can, because I know that many of you are here because that you want to express your opinions and your views on various topics. We do have 2 very substantive agenda items tonight that I think is going to run us into potentially several hours. Who knows? But I'm going to ask those folks to keep your remarks succinct. All right, so moving on. Public forum. Kyla Martin from Charlestown. Kyla. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Can I start?
Yes, you may.
Good evening. My name is Kyla Martin, and I'm a 9th grade student here at Chariho High School. I'm speaking today about the transfers of teachers and the impact it has on us as students. I don't believe that teachers should be moved in the middle of the school year because I feel that it disrupts students' learning and removes the stability that many students rely on. In many workplaces, transitions are handled carefully so that people affected have time to prepare. When decisions like this are made, it can feel like the effect on all students' learning is not being fully considered. Moving teachers during the school year may solve a staffing issue, but it creates a new problem for the students who suddenly lose an important part of their support system. Schools should always prioritize students. When decisions like these are made, the question should not only be, is this allowed, but also, is this what is best for all students? In many other districts, anyone in a teacher role does not have their position changed until the end of the school year in order to prevent disruption to students' learning and to maintain the important bonds that develop between students and their teachers. If other districts understand and acknowledge the value of consistency and stability for students, why don't we? According to a study by Gary T. Henry and Christopher Readings, Leaders in Professional Education, they found that losing a teacher mid-year was linked to a loss of anywhere between 32 and 72 instructional days, and a significant loss in English and math scores. They stated in their study, teachers who depart from December through April have the most harmful effects on achievement. If we want students to feel supported, we must make decisions that reflect that promise. So I'd like to end by asking an important question. Is the goal truly all kids all of the time, or has it quietly become some kids some of the time? Thank you for taking the time to listen to me.
Thank you. Dylan Stracuzzi and Jocelyn Vanderveer from Hopkinton. There's no subject. Okay. Okay. Thank you. When we get to the budget, just raise your hands and I'll be happy to recognize you. Thank you. Greg Avadesian from Hopkinton.
Good evening. I'm going to be very brief. I just have really a question for the chair. Given past situations, I just want to confirm that each of us will have an opportunity to speak on particularly the budget and the bond language. I know in the past, sometimes discussion has been limited. So I just want to get confirmation from you that everyone here will have an opportunity
Sure.
to speak to these issues, because I feel they're very important.
Sure. So after the members have a chance to weigh in, I will certainly recognize the audience. If we get to 10 o'clock, though, or close to 10 o'clock, there is, a rule, one of our rules is that the majority of the school committee members have to vote to go beyond 10 p.m. Okay? So I don't know if we get there, what will happen at that juncture.
And my response would be, having been someone who has voted on several occasions not to extend the meeting past 10 o'clock when I sat where you are, I think I would strongly encourage the members of the school committee to go beyond it. Believe me, I'm not happy about being here past 10 o'clock. I have to get up rather early in the morning to go to work, but like I said, I think the issues are far too important to limit everybody's ability to speak to the issue.
Okay, noted. Thank you. All right, so Helen Sheehan referenced the budget, so we'll get back to that. Roseanne Tidd, there was no subject under your name, Roseanne. So if it's an item not on the budget this evening, you're more than welcome to come and speak during public comment now. So it was an item on the agenda? Okay, we'll get back to you. Okay, no worries. Okay, Mark Rajat from Richmond.
Mark Rajat, Richmond. I just want to say last week's display of rudeness by Mr. Moffett was uncalled for, and I believe he owes anybody he talked to or was involved in the incident a public apology. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Cara Teolis from Charlestown. Oh, Cara, you had written down budget, so can we get back to you? Okay, thank you. Bob Cardoza from Richmond. Bob, you wrote down budget, so can we get back to you on that? Okay. Justin Bentley from Hopkinton says voting on items. Okay, thank you, Justin. Carrie Ann Coleman from Hopkinton says budget. So Carrie Ann, can we get back to you? Is that okay? Okay, thank you. Jennifer Sylvia Hopkinton, budget and technology. So Jennifer, did you want to talk about technology and forego your budget comments until we get to the budget? Okay. All right. Thank you. Scott Sunderland says budget here. Scott, are you here? There you go. Do you want to wait until we get to that item? Okay, thanks. Joan Kent from Richmond.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Superintendent and all the school committee members. Before I address a serious issue that transpired last week, It's the school meeting. I want to give you a news flash. South Carolina had 7 inches of snow. And Florida got some snow too, and their temperatures dropped down 20 to the 20s. Also, their school is totally subsidized by their lottery in South Carolina. They pay for everything. Now, on to the other issue. Now, on a more difficult and serious issue we all need to face and contend with. Mr. Moffett, constant verbal attacks on Chair Dinsmore, and his outrageous offenses remarks that are disrespectful, heartless, and shameful, and his deplorable behavior to incite violence against Mr. McKendall is totally unacceptable, indefensible, and should not be tolerated by members of the school committee or the public. Sadly, Mr. Moffett continues to attack by other means of communications in the community. I have addressed this type of uncivilized behavior, verbal attacks, at last year's school committee meeting. Evidently, what I said has fallen on deaf ears. Where is our dignity, our respect, our kindness towards our neighbors, as well as the respect for ourselves? How do you expect your children to have respect for and dignity for themselves, for anyone else, or anything? Sadly, our dignity and respect for others is lost and has been replaced by hatred.
Joan, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up.
Okay, can I just leave this last word?
Please.
I'd like you to think about this.
Thank you.
Hate breeds contempt. Contempt breeds disdain. Disdain breeds anger. Anger breeds aggression. Aggression breeds an act of violence. Violence causes death and destruction. God bless all of you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, Paul Erdos. Doesn't say the time. To the budget? Okay. All right, so that concludes public comment. Now we are going to move on to 8, which is business. 8A, discussion and vote on fiscal year 27 budget adoption.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
to establish a baseline, I make a motion to adopt the budget as submitted at 4.99%, which includes state aid.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Mr. Lowe, Ed, and then Jess.
I just wanted to talk about understanding statements and data that were provided at the last school committee meeting on the 3rd. The presentation I was referring to was a top-level summary of the budget. And it made a number of statements, including Charahoe is in the top 10 of the Rhode Island high school rankings. Charahoe continues to outperform state, national, and global averages, and this performance is sustained and not accidental. The statement was also made that Charahoe is recognized for strong assessment results combined with a strong return on investment, and we are delivering a top-tier education while maintaining fiscal responsibility. Then a graph was presented that compared the per pupil expenditure with the percent of students who met expectations as evidenced by the RICAS standard test scores in 2024-2025. And that graph was split into 4 quadrants. The top leftmost quadrant was labeled as quadrant 1, and it was labeled as evidence of strong achievement and high return on investment. And in that quadrant, Charahoe was ranked according to those two variables, the per pupil expenditure and the score, or number of students, percentage of students who met expectations throughout the district, the average of both ELA, literacy, as well as math, as a single data point in 2024, 2025. And it was approximately 46% of the students met expectations in those two subjects across the entire district. If you dig deeper into those numbers and you look at not just that single year average, but more of a number of years approaching a decade, 7 years, let's say. You look at the data from 2017, 2018 through 2024, 2025, what we see is that the RICAS scores in mathematics have not, the RICAS scores in mathematics district-wide started off in 2017, 2018, 44.9% of the students met expectations in mathematics. And if we advance all the way through 2024, 2025, 45.4%, or approximately 0.5% more of the students district-wide met expectations in mathematics. So it's essentially a flat line. There's some perturbations in there as a function of time for the testing results of the individual years that fall in between. So between 2018, 2019, 22, 23, 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, and 24 and 25. But essentially, we ended up at the end of that 7-year time frame, essentially the same percentage of students met expectations district-wide, all grades, at the beginning of that time frame and at the end of that time frame. 0.5 percentage point difference and 0.5 percentage point increase. That's pretty disturbing. That there's been, with the money that's been spent, that we have that type of performance. If you look at that same time frame, those same 7 years, and you look at the ELA and literacy scores, we started off at 54% of the students met expectations in 2017, 2018. The very next year, it jumped 4% up to 58% of the students met expectations. But then at the end of that 7-year period, we'd fallen below where we were at on a student body basis, all grades throughout Charahoe for ELA and literacy. Say again?
Nothing. We have some sidebar conversations going on at the end of the table, so let's give Ed our attention, please.
At the end of that time frame, that 7-year time frame, we'd fallen back 7%, such that only 47% of the students met English and language arts and literacy expectations at the end of that time frame. And that regression, again, let me go back and say that, in between there, the numbers did fluctuate. So there were perturbations in between, but now we're 7 years later and only 47% of our students are meeting expectations. And that's even more disturbing. So when we look at it with respect to in the top 10 Rhode Island high schools, that we're achieving above average performance, both statewide, nationally, and globally. And we look at the statement that it's that the performance at this level is sustained and not accidental. I come away with a much different view of that data than those statements would lead me to believe if I just looked at those slides. So I think that the state of education in Rhode Island is in serious, serious trouble. And I think that the state of education here is similar. When to achieve a ranking in the top 10 throughout the state, half of the students still don't meet the expectations at grade level in either English or in math. And I don't see that there's a path forward that's addressing that deficit in the students meeting those expectations, that's going to achieve the performance that we need to achieve in order to allow a much more significant number of students to meet expectations.
Ed, if I may interrupt for a moment.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you. I know the superintendent would like to respond to that, and then after that, I think, Jess, did you have your hand raised? And then Karen.
So our budget is an investment in our students, and our students are much more than a test score that happens in March and April. And as a parent, as a teacher, as a superintendent, I'm very proud of every student in Charahoe, pre-K through 12, and the growth that we have seen. Dr. Camella gave a presentation back in November. The Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns and the RIDE data, Rhode Island has the highest level of standards in the nation. That's why our standards are much, much higher than most. And I can tell you that when we look at growth and accountability, I stand by every statement in that presentation. And not only do I stand by it, I welcome anyone to any one of our classrooms to look at our amazing young people and the work that they do every day, and our amazing educators and the work that they do every day. Dr. Camella will tell you that when you take a state test is not made for accountability of a budget, because it's about student needs, not about one moment in time. Our kids are more than that, and they show that to us every single day. And when we look at one presentation, or we look at data that has multiple tests, so for example, 2017, it was a completely different assessment. So I ask that anyone that's going to criticize the district around their due diligence around the data, the graduation rates when I got here were 86%. They are 97%, and that's because of the hard work of our students and our educators. If any member of the public would like to go to the annual report that I present to all of the towns every year, and I present to the school committee in August, that is a compilation of the work, not my work, not this team's work, but the work of the entire district to ensure that every student has made the success that they make. Every baseline is different. We all grow at different rates. The only thing that puts us in the classroom is our age and our birthday. But I don't know about you, that doesn't tell anybody how smart they are. A score on a test tells you what they did in a moment in time, and sometimes we have bad days, and sometimes we have great days. But when you look at their data and say that it's not growing, that is incorrect, because by the end of the year, when we look at all of our assessments, local and state, we are absolutely proficient at almost 85%. And I'm gonna let Dr. Camella share the actual data so that I can speak to that as well if you would like me to.
Okay, let's let the speaker speak. Dr. Camella, would you like to give that data?
Sure. I'm pulling data from the presentation from back in the November school committee meeting. So,
And then, excuse me, Dr. Camella, and then I think we're going to have to get back to the particulars of the budget. Right. Okay. Yes.
just to address the math data first. So, while Mr. Lowe is correct, prior to COVID, our scores were in the 50s in terms of student achievement. In 2021, our district was at 29.1% for math, and we're now at 45.4% for math. That's quite an increase, considering the known effects that students missing, not only the last 3 months of the 2020 school year, but also, the disruption in the learning in 2021, although credit to the superintendent and the district for being, in school, having all kids in school, still offering the hybrid option, but having the majority of our students on a day-to-day basis. Mr. Zenian can testify the challenge it was to group students and to get them. So that was a clearly disrupted year. And then for ELA, for English Language Arts, skip to science. So at post-COVID, we were at 41.7%. We're now at 47.1%. So again, matching, actually not as quite as big of an increase in math. We had farther to go in math, but we are approaching the pre-COVID levels, as the data shows.
Thanks, Dr. Camella. I appreciate that insight. So we had Jess and then Karen.
Okay, so we've been discussing this budget since January, but since this is our final meeting, I did want to reiterate some statements and read from something I had prepared. So in recent years, Charahoe's budget has seen lower local town contributions while state aid has increased. But this year, Richmond has the highest percentage increase to the district due to a projected decrease of $331,604 in state aid. Charlestown's also set to lose $59,000, and Hopkinton is gaining $1 million due to fluctuating student enrollment and changes in how the state calculates their contribution. Some are saying that because of the higher percentage in Richmond, we should reduce the budget, but reducing the increase for one town affects the entire district. To make a significant impact, it would take a reduction of at least $1 million, and I don't think that's a cut that Charahoe students and schools can afford. Reducing funding does not eliminate the need. It only weakens our ability to respond to emergencies and implement long-term planning. The school committee and Charahoe administration have had to repeatedly rely on the fund balance to meet district needs, including a request tonight to cover increased snow removal. I don't think it's responsible to base the entire budget on the fluctuation of a percentage that is not the final number. I've explained on multiple occasions that each town's percentage increase to the district is not the same as the increase the school budget creates to the town. While 7.82 is Richmond's current percentage increase to the district, that figure does not directly translate to the percentage increase to the town of Richmond. To determine that percentage, I use the dollar amount of the local increase in combination with the town budget amount, which shows an estimated 4.10 increase to the town. If Richmond state aid is restored to last year's level, and we get that $331,000 back, the percentage increase to the district after state aid would decrease to 5.75%, which would result in an estimated 3.02 increase to the town, which is likely to be offset by additional revenue at that level. When I examine town budget increases, which include local Charahoe contributions across all three towns, I find that the average percentage increases are well below the rate of inflation. They are also lower than the percentages shown in Charahoe budget documents because of how the school increase is offset by revenue in each town. In Charlestown, the 5-year average town tax increase is 1.756. In Hopkinton, it's 2.154, and in Richmond, it's the lowest at 1.052. These figures illustrate that our regional school district and our towns are working well together and operating in a fiscally sound and responsible manner. Don't get me wrong, I know that life has become unaffordable in all areas of necessity. In our Richmond home, we have plenty of bills, and none of them have gotten lower in the past year. We work hard to provide for our family, to take care of our kids and the house, to volunteer in the community, and to be good neighbors. With 2 growing children who are Charahoe students, our schools are always at the forefront of my decisions on the school committee. I was elected on a platform to prioritize students. I don't feel comfortable with additional cuts tonight, whether they be small reductions that are not strategic or large reductions that will severely change the trajectory of our successful schools. I have heard from many residents who are depending on the school committee to protect our shared assets and investment in the future, and I agree that further cuts would be risky at best and detrimental at worst. That being said, there are some ideas that have been brought up that I'd like to share or reiterate, things that we could do now that are not cuts to the budget that could help with the overall budget picture. We need to advocate to have our state funding restored. There are 16 districts that are projected to have reductions in state aid. As the superintendent has mentioned on multiple occasions, there's also ground to be gained in the area of the funding from the state for high-cost special education, and she's working to make the voice of rural and regional school districts heard at the State House. There is a bill which could provide additional aid to rural districts, 6% regional bonus on state aid, which would be close to $1 million in Charahoe. State aid, there's also, this has come up multiple times, but right now the state aid goes to the towns, and the towns have to account for that, the millions of dollars in their town fund balance. If the state aid came directly to Charahoe, the towns could reduce their fund balance, which would decrease their overall budget that is needed. Future ideas that have come up, when I was a parent a few years ago, I sat at that podium and I talked about maybe doing 2-to-1 for K1 to K12, K1 or second grade classrooms. Right now it's 1-to-1. That has come up multiple times this year about reducing the reliance on technology. I also think we could have teachers switch to Chromebooks instead of MacBooks, which would save $550 for each device over a 4-year period. I think we should continue to increase preschool revenue and expand the options for preschool with a unified elementary school. And I think we should implement a 3-year rolling average for the local contributions to help flatten the curve of fluctuations.
Thank you. Karen?
Good, thanks.
Okay. I do have a comment on the budget, and I have said publicly that I will not support passing this fiscal year 27 budget, especially because Richmond has a significant increase in front of them. Jess, I appreciate your comments. You know, I just wrote down a couple of talking points from your comments, and you always come prepared and you're always very thorough. So I appreciate your due diligence and always coming prepared. You know, one of the things that you said was likely to offset, you know, advocating for state aid to be restored, bills at the State House that could or couldn't impact our budget. These are all possibilities, not guarantees. And that concerns me. So as we're, you know, discussing our fiscal year 27 Charahoe budget, I do want to acknowledge something that we all share in the room. Everyone here cares very deeply about our community. Whether you are a parent, a student, a staff member, a taxpayer, or a town official, or a member of the community, we all want what's best for the students that we serve here in our district. We also recognize that many families and residents are experiencing financial pressures. Rising costs for housing, utilities, everyday expenses are affecting households across our region. The school committee, I think collectively, and I speak for myself, but I think I could say collectively, understands these concerns and takes seriously our responsibility to balance fiscal responsibility with the educational needs of our students. Approximately 80% of this district's budget supports the people who work directly with the students every day. Adjustments to a budget often translate into changes students and families experience in the classroom, such as staffing levels, class sizes, etc. Tonight's conversation is about how we potentially could move forward in a responsible way. Under Rhode Island General Law 16-2-9, the school committee is responsible for the care, control, and management of the public schools. This responsibility includes identifying students' educational needs and adopting a budget to meet them. Additionally, Rhode Island law requires municipalities to support their public schools at no less than the prior year's level of local funding, unless a statutory exception applies. This requirement is known as maintenance of effort. Maintenance of effort applies to the local contributions to the towns, local contributions from the towns, not to other sources of funding, such as state education aid or federal grants. But because Charahoe is a regional district, the total contribution from the 3 member towns, and we know they are Charlestown, Richmond, and Hopkinton, must be considered together when reviewing the district's operating budget. Another important factor in this discussion tonight is the district's financial reserves, also called the unassigned fund balance. Last year, our committee approved returning approximately $3.1 million from the district's unassigned fund balance to the member towns. As discussed during last year's deliberations, the fund balance serves as a financial reserve that helps school districts manage unexpected costs, such as transportation changes, special education placements, facility issues, and other operational fluctuations. Following that decision last year, the district's remaining unassigned fund balance, as of the time we approved the transfer to cover the cost of the recent blizzard, and that's on our agenda later, our unassigned fund balance will be approximately $1.4 million for a $71 million organization. 1.4 million. Based on current estimates, this represents less than 1 month of operating expenses. Maintaining an appropriate reserve helps ensure the district can respond to unexpected events without creating financial instability during the school year. With this context in mind, one option the committee may wish to discuss is continuing to work collaboratively. We all talk about collaboration and partnerships with our municipal partners to explore solutions that support both students and taxpayers. For many years, our towns have maintained municipal fund balances to provide financial stability and respond to changing fiscal conditions. Based on the most recent publicly available information, this is, again, most recent publicly available information, and I think these numbers are accurate, Hopkinton maintains a fund balance of approximately $6.8 million. We have a fund balance of about 1.4 million. Richmond maintains a fund balance of approximately $6.7 million. Charlestown maintains a fund balance of approximately $6.2 million. Town leaders have noted that maintaining these reserves helps municipalities respond to changes in the state funding formula, enrollment shifts, and other financial uncertainties. One option our committee may wish to consider discussing is whether the towns might evaluate whether a portion of their municipal fund balance could be used to offset the local education contribution for the taxpayers while maintaining the educational programs and staffing levels that support students. Aren't we all in this together? For example, if a town were to allocate a portion of its municipal reserve towards its school contribution, it could reduce the immediate tax impact on residents while allowing the district to maintain the staffing and programs that serve students. This type of approach could help us move toward a shared outcome, protecting student programming and staffing, reducing the tax impact on local residents, supporting long-term financial stability for both the towns and the school district. This is simply an idea for discussion. Any discussion regarding municipal fund balance would ultimately be made by the respective town councils through their own public processes. If our committee wishes, it could consider directing the superintendent to draft a letter to the towns outlining our commitment to maintaining educational opportunities for students while continuing to work collaboratively with our municipal partners. We also recognize that additional work remains ahead, including reviewing the district's recent transportation audit and continuing to advocate at the state level regarding education aid. Of course, I want to do all these things, but we're in uncharted territory here. These increases are increases that we have never seen before, especially to my town, and the town that I represent is Richmond. The school committee's goals remain the same, working together with our communities to support the students of our district while being mindful of the financial realities facing our towns. Our goal tonight is to continue that collaboration and find a responsible path forward that supports both students and ensures fiscal responsibility. Personally, I would like to ask the Richmond Town Council, knowing the town contribution will increase in fiscal year 27 by $1.252 million, and as a result in a 7.82% increase, to consider helping to close the gap and utilize a portion of Richmond's fund balance to soften this budget impact for the taxpayers of Richmond. If we're truly collaborators across the aisle and across public bodies, let's make this happen. Members of the Richmond Town Council have publicly advocated to support our district in the past, and I appreciate your advocacy. Let's now put the verbal support into action to support Charahoe in supporting whatever budget we vote on for fiscal year 27. Thank you. Other comments? No other comments? Okay, so now we'll go to the public. All right, so those folks who signed up for public forum who wanted to speak on the budget, I will now recognize. Dylan Stracuzzi and Jocelyn Vanderveer, are you here? And would you like to speak on the budget? Yes? Okay, thank you. Please make your way down to the podium. How are you?
Good.
Good. You want to speak right into that microphone, okay?
Good evening. I'm Jocelyn Vanderveer.
And I'm Dylan Stracuzzi.
We are in fifth grade at CMS, and before this, we went to Hope Valley Elementary School.
Last year, we lost our librarian, and because of that, we lost High C, and we had a substitute teacher for library for the rest of the year.
I was looking forward to High C all year. When it was canceled, there wasn't anything challenging anymore.
If theater also gets cut, it would be devastating for us. I did the high school play, and it was amazing for me.
I'm in the middle school play right now, and I would be very upset if it ended.
If other enrichment classes too were cut, clubs and sports, a lot of people would be disappointed too.
Spanish got cut in first grade and we had to relearn everything this year. We don't want to lose anymore. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. They deserve to be acknowledged. All right, so next is Helen Sheehan from Richmond.
According to the proposed budget for the town of Richmond, they are expecting to have an increase responsibility to the school department of $950,014, almost $1 million increase in 1 year. So if Hopkinton has a similar increase, close to $1 million, and let's say Charleston has half of that, it's $2.5 million increase in 1 year. That is way too much increase in the budget. So I don't know if Hope Valley is still open or not, but we sacrificed that school to save money. It's not open. So
not, no.
we're still paying for Hope Valley.
So Helen, if I may,
Yep.
I don't know what the numbers that you're referencing, but according to the numbers that we referenced last week during the financial town meeting, the local contributions only, not including state aid, Richmond goes from $16,017,696 to $17,270,325, which is an increase of 1.252629, 7.82% increase, not including state aid. So those are the numbers that were read off last week
All right,
during the financial town meeting. So I just want to be accurate.
I'm working for the town of Richmond proposed budget, and those are their numbers. $950,000 increase for us in 1 year.
Okay.
So that's too much.
Okay, thank you. Roseanne Tidd, you're good? Okay. Cara Teolis from Charlestown would like to speak on the budget. Cara? Thank you.
I'd like to hand her the microphone because it's very hard to hear what people are saying.
Okay.
So if you hold it, people can hear.
I'll do my best. I've never done this before, so.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. All right. I'm here to express my support for the proposed school budget as written. Our schools play a critical role in the success, safety, and well-being of the students in our district, and maintaining the resources outlined in this budget is essential. As another taxpayer and concerned parent wrote a letter already and sent to the school committee stating that reducing the budget by cutting staff positions or eliminating sports or extracurricular programs would have a significant lasting impact on students. I do not wish to repeat her entire letter. However, I greatly agree with all of the points Mrs. Gillette made. I feel that it's an absolute disgrace to try and cut back any more services for the children of our future. What do we intend to build without the tools to build it? It's impossible. Take a look at what you're doing to your teachers and support staff. Everything is already at bare bones, and it's unfair, not only to the teachers, but to our children, the reason why we're here. Why is this committee here if it's not to benefit the children? Then why be here? My suggestion would be, first, can cuts be made to a superintendent or administration level that isn't that where most of the money goes? I'm new here, obviously, but just my opinions. And if there's so many students that need additional support, is that CALA building at capacity? Is it fully staffed? I think we should look at making sure we have all the essential and necessary positions filled before we go trying to cut more positions or things that help and benefit our children. Isn't that what you do You work for the greater good of children and education. I mean, look around. So many wonderful people have had to step away or have been displaced. Does anybody wonder why? I know I have my opinions. Thank you for giving me a few minutes to speak my piece, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Thank you. Bob Cardoza from Richmond.
Thank you, Bob Cardozo, Richmond. May I also address the gentleman's concern over there that you made during public?
As long as it relates to the budget, because that's the agenda item right now. So if you want to talk about.
He also spoke to the, where we rank as far as the schools in the state of Rhode Island. Can that be addressed, yes or no?
As long as it relates to the budget.
It does.
Okay.
I'm looking for a budget reduction of $500,000. This will bring it down from 4.75 to 3.76, which is something that most of us can start to live with. All of our towns also have budgets that have to be proposed and voted on. This becomes part of the overall amount that comes out of a family's checking account. Regarding us being the number 10 school in the state, let's not compare ourselves to Central Falls, Providence, Pawtucket, and Woonsocket. You want to have the number 2 school in the state's Barrington, and we're number 10. That's 8, right? It's not, it's 2,000. When you look to see where we stand in the country, we're in the 2000s. No, we're not in the top 10. Barrington's in the top 200. So when you start to look at these things, start to look at reality. We need to cut our budget.
Thank you. Just to respond to that, Bob, the motion on the floor right now that we're discussing and we're having public input on is to adopt the budget as is. So it doesn't look like this motion will give the school committee members the opportunity to suggest any reductions at this point. Hold on, come on up, because we can't hear you, and then the people on the TV can't hear you.
I believe my motion was to cut the budget by $500,000.
Well,
I would need a second. Richmond might want to do it.
He can't make it. Yeah. Okay, Bob, just so you know, this isn't the district financial meeting, so you can't make a motion. Only the school committee members can. Okay, but I appreciate your input. All right. Let's see. Carrie Ann Coleman from Hopkinton. Did you want to speak on the budget, Carrie Ann? Okay. Please make your way down. And then Jen Sylvia is here. Jen would be after Carrie Ann, and then Scott Sunderland.
My name is Carrie Ann Kuhlman. I'm from Hopkinton, and just like everyone else, I do not want my taxes increased, especially significantly. However, I also do not want our schools underfunded. I totally understand that. It's a hard place to be, and there are no easy answers. Gutting the budget, reducing it any more than it already is only going to cause more problems, not only for our kids who won't get the services they need, but for our communities. I did a little bit of research and found that all 3 towns have programs for property tax relief. It seems like putting in effort for some outreach would really help the people who need this get the support they're looking for. It was said enrollment issues are impacting funding. As a newcomer to the Charahoe school system this year, we enrolled our child in 1st grade. I seriously considered other school options, not due to rankings or teachers, but because the school uses Chromebooks starting in kindergarten. It also doesn't help that they have, well, my son wanted me to say, only 20 minutes of recess. In truth, Ashway Elementary has been great for my son. His teachers and IEP team are incredible. He's thriving and comes home proud and excited. A huge thanks to the school for that. I was very worried. I am concerned we would lose these vital services and great teachers because of budget cuts, and our kids really can't afford to lose the support they need. I know you're probably tired of hearing this, but the screen issue is a real problem. I heard that going back to books costs 3 times more, but can we actually look at hard numbers? Even starting by removing screens in kindergarten, first, and second grade would be a start. I know the budget is already stretched thin, and this may feel impossible, but is it? Can we get creative and find solutions together? We all know tech is bad for kids, and the studies keep proving it. Cognitive neuroscientists say that this is the first generation to be less cognitively capable than their parents, and this is linked to screens in classrooms. Imagine the new families this would bring to our district. Parents are paying for private schools that aren't screen heavy. Again, we almost didn't enroll here because of this, and it's why we may not stay. Again, that's why we didn't. Having Chromebooks is supposedly cheaper, but is the cost to our kids worth it? Thank you.
Thank you. Jen Sylvia from Hopkinton.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Sylvia. I'm a resident of Hopkinton. I don't want to take time away from the bulk of tonight's priority, which is the budget, but I do want to express my overwhelming concern with the district's reliance on technology to deliver a bulk of our children's educational needs, specifically in our elementary-aged students. Studies are showing, and I have references that I'm happy to share with the committee, that prolonged use of digital devices demonstrate a significant negative impact on children, to include decreased physical activity, sleep disturbances, behavioral issues, lower academic performance, socio-emotional challenges, and eye strain. Some studies are hypothesizing that excessive screen time during brain development will increase risk of Alzheimer's disease and related dementias in adulthood. So that would be referring to our elementary-aged students. With these negative impacts in mind, I would propose that the school committee and district consider removing the one-to-one Chromebooks to all elementary-aged children, grades 1 through 6, with a much higher prevalence of book-related learning, pencil and paper, and focusing on the basics. To save money, to improve learning for their educational foundation, while also improving our children's overall health to set them up for the most successful future encompassing their mind, body, and spirit. Thank you so much for your time. I'm also an employee of the Charahoe School District. I am the Active Kids, Active Minds coach, and I would gladly consider continuing this program at Richmond Elementary School next year without pay and volunteer my time. I love the kids, but I do think that we need to find ways to save money. It may be a bit of more of an investment, maybe to instill the textbooks, but in the long run, I do believe that it's going to help our children in their future and make sure that they have a more healthful life. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott Sunderland. Okay. Paul Erdos.
Good evening, committee members. We know that education is the greatest financial investment in our community, but I hope that each of us can honestly acknowledge that every person's presence here, whether in the audience or to serve on the committee or as educators and administrators, proves that each person is valid in this process. We are supposed to speak our reservations or disagreements and voice our concerns, and not be made to feel like just a legally required frustration. Charahoe families have dutifully paid their hard-earned dollars towards these efforts at a higher than average rate, and have proven that they do pay and are willing to carry this burden. Charahoe schools have fared well academically and we all take pride in that. And so we must acknowledge the good efforts of the administrators and educators over the years, and they've served our community to benefit. But there's certainly room for improvement, and it doesn't necessarily follow that more money equals better outcomes. Additionally, the tragic increase in name calling and ideology posturing and virtue signaling has turned simple processes, though they involve hard decisions, into devaluing each other as neighbors and necessary partners in this endeavor toward what is good. Last meeting's display of the reprehensible behavior, which included physical aggression, threatenings, and attempts of intimidation towards the chair and towards members within the audience, cannot be tolerated, especially by individuals who are in direct roles of leadership or coaching as representatives of these Charahoe values. Any characterization of persons who oppose this budget as being somehow uncommitted to the greater good is ungracious at best and dishonest at worst. We are Charahoe proud, and that should unite us. I think this budget needs more work, so I hope that we can turn down the temperature and turn up the cooperation and come to a better proposal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, does anyone else want to speak on the budget? Yes. And if anyone else wants to speak on the budget, I would just ask that you come down now so we can just keep it moving.
Catherine Giusti, Hopkinton. So I am confused, and I don't know if you're all similarly confused. So over the last year, you've added about $600,000 more to this budget than was originally proposed, and I understand why. You negotiated, Mrs. Teft, Mrs. Dinsmore, Mrs. Pouliot, and Mrs. Chapman negotiated a teacher's contract with a 3% raise over the next 3 years for teachers, and I understand why, but that also adds to the budget. You voted against the reduction of a foreign language teacher even though it was recommended because of decreased class sizes. So you've painted yourself into a corner that way, because I don't understand how a committee could say we are okay with having a foreign language class with less than 10 students, but kindergarten classes with more than 24. So you're kind of in a pickle. And I don't understand why you're sitting up there and you're not making any recommendations for reductions, but saying you're going to vote against the budget. This is literally the job that you signed up for. You're supposed to be making reduction suggestions if you can't support this budget. I don't understand why that's confusing to you, and I don't know if it's truly confusing to you or if you have decided to just wash your hands of the process because you don't want to look like the bad guy. You are, in fact, the bad guy. Sometimes you make difficult decisions. That's what you signed up for. You can make an amendment to this motion and suggest cuts to the motion to reduce it. If you don't tonight, I don't know who you're serving, but you're not serving anybody well. You're not serving the forgotten taxpayers well who installed you to cut the budget. You're not serving Charahoe well, and you're certainly not representing yourselves well.
So I will just say that there is a motion and a second on the floor to adopt the budget as is. So I think that you're good. So I think that the intent was to listen to the public, and then if other members of the school committee wanted to make amendments to that motion, then they are free to do that. Is there anyone else? Yes, please come forward.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, school committee. My name is Jim Palmisano. I am a member of the Richmond Town Council. I'm not here representing that entirety, just representing my opinion. I'm also a proud parent of a graduate of Charahoe and a current student. I don't want to repeat what Ms. Giusti said, but I would just like to understand from the school committee members who are feeling they are not going to support this budget, have they already sent in recommendations, or do they have thoughts on cuts that they would propose for this budget? In about 3 weeks, Chair Dinsmore, you and other members of the community will be standing in front of me as a town council member, asking me to make the hard decisions on our Richmond budget. You will expect me as an elected official to make the decisions that are in the best interest of the people I serve, which is Richmond. Those are not always easy decisions to make, and you know that. I know you know that. I look at all of you as school committee members, and I hope that you would make the decisions for the best interest of the students. I'm not expecting you to make cuts. I think that there have been references to other communities that are better performing. If you want to look at East Greenwich or Barrington, look no further than the investment they make in their students each year. There is a connection there. And for the record, I grew up in East Greenwich. I went to Catholic school. Never once did my father say to me, I'm not paying my local taxes because you go to Catholic school. He understood that you support your community. So those are the investments I'm looking for. Just show of hands, how many people who are voting no have come with suggestions on cuts for the budget tonight? One of you, maybe two, and three. Good, so perhaps we'll hear those, and then as it was stated, there is the option to propose an amendment to the existing motion, and you decide what's best to do. I do hope you fund the school system and support the budget. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, is there anyone else? Yes, Mr. McCabe.
Good evening, Jim McCabe, Charlestown. I have to say I speak for myself personally, not on behalf of any organization or committee. I kind of had prepared comments, but I do have to respond to Mr. Lowe. He started off the budget conversation here. A couple things he pointed out were talking about being consistent without any blips or accidents. And I think you made your point that over the past 7 to 10 years, whatever it was, we have maintained our excellence. This is despite level funding and budget cuts in recent years. And you talked about perturbations in our performance, but failed to mention that was during COVID. This was a global health crisis that put our education system at risk. That was not a standard deviation or perturbation. What we heard from the actual results was more like going from 25 to 30% back up to 40 to 50%. I understand your comments about 40 to 50% not being acceptable, but let's recognize that we have maintained excellence through hardships, both through global financial crises as well as the funding lapses, which again, as I've heard, those schools and communities that we would like to envision ourselves as are getting the support they need from their towns. Aside from that, I do want to say I've heard quite a few conversations about how can we cut administration, especially at the upper levels. I want to add, I have 2 children that have gone through the Charo school system, or still in the school system as a middle school and high school. We've seen turnover in principals and support staff. Due credit to Superintendent Picard for navigating us through that. But we have to realize in the same situation as East Greenwich and Barrington, being superior in their performance, but getting the funding they have, the more we cut, the more our support staff, the more our teachers, the people that are looking out for our children will seek greener pastures. So I think you should consider that as well. The final point I want to make is I am proud of seeing this much better attendance from the towns than last week, especially from Charlestown. Thank you. But I want to point out that we are surrounded by adults, taxpayers in our districts. We are talking about the taxing of our districts, the funding formulas, the state laws. Let us please ensure that for our children, our community, for my children, we are not forgetting them. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, if you can come down, please. And then I think there was a hand raised in the back. So if you want to come down too, so we can just minimize the time in between speakers. Thank you. Okay, yes, Ms. Davis. Okay, third in line. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I am speaking here tonight as a mother in the district and the mother of an autistic child. I'd like to first address technology, as we've spoken on that before. I do know how important it is to prepare kids for a digital world, but I'm really worried that we've swung too far towards screens, especially in early grades. I want my child and all of our youngest students surrounded by books, paper, pencils, and real-life hands-on learning. Reading physical books, turning physical pages, seeing words on paper, and writing by hand are foundational skills. Screens cannot replace that. They should be a tool we use occasionally and not the main way our kids experience school. Too much technology, as spoken about previously, at such a young age, makes it harder for kids to focus, to build deep reading habits, and to develop the patience and attention span that real learning takes. For my autistic child, the constant presence of devices is overstimulating and distracting. A calm classroom with books, clear routines, and simple materials is often much better for regulation and learning. My second worry is what happens if the cuts land in wrong places for kids like mine. The fiscal 27 budget and the elementary capital plan are going to shape what services are actually available for disabled students for years to come. When I hear talk about trimming counseling, school psychology, social work, paraprofessionals, or related services, I get scared. Those aren't extras for my child. There are things that make it possible for him to be in school. If you take away those, it doesn't just look bad on a spreadsheet. It shows up in my home as meltdowns, school refusal, regression, and lost learning for real kids. Families will start, like mine, will start looking at homeschooling, not because they want to leave, but because they feel like the system can't meet their child's basic needs. I don't want that for my community, I don't want that for my family, and I don't want it for this school district. I'm bringing this up because when services are cut too close to the bone, parents will do what they have to do to protect their children. That can turn into complaints, that can turn into hearings, and that is stressful and expensive for everyone. It seems so much smarter to protect those core services up front. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, was there someone else that came down in the front? Yes, please. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amanda Overin. I represent I live in Charlestown. I'm a mother and also an alumni. My parents went to school here, my aunts and uncles, they still all reside in the town. So we talk about the students, but remember when we talk about investment, we're talking about contributing members to our community who can get good jobs, do good things. I didn't prepare something, so I'm sorry, but
okay.
I support the budget. I feel if you had to cut those extracurriculars, you lose a lot of what the kids do. We talk about civility, respect, being able to have conversations. A lot of those skills are learned in those extracurricular activities and not necessarily always in the classroom. The kids can be divided by what kind of course. They're in CP, they're in honors, they're in this. They don't always get together the way they can in an extracurricular on a sports team where they're learning tons of things about competition and sportsmanship. And I think that's important as we talk about becoming adults and all of those things. So thank you.
Thank you. You did a great job. Ms. Davis?
Sharon Davis with Hopkinton. I've spent a lot of years pushing the school committee to reduce their costs. And today's budget proposal that has a 2.11% increase for Hopkinton, I can support. I really think that public schools should be available for all children, and they should be at the highest level possible. I also know that we need to try to balance the costs to the taxpayer. At this 2.11%, I think Hopkinton can afford that this time.
This time.
Okay, so I'm supporting the budget.
Okay.
I want you to know. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I don't see any other hands raised. So at this time, are there any proposed amendments to the budget? Larry?
I'd like to make an amendment to cut line.
Sorry.
You have a motion and a second, I thought.
I can amend, right?
Okay.
Well, if he makes an amendment to this, he's asking, are you asking for amendment to this motion? You can't make a new amendment. You have to
No,
make
that's what I said, recommend a motion to amend to his motion.
To accept the budget.
Right, he can request Mr. Lazan to make the amendment, correct.
Okay, John?
I'm gonna, John, am I correct? He has to, Mr. Lazan has to.
Okay.
So it I don't know. So it sounds like Larry would like to ask Mr. Luzon to make an amendment to his motion. Larry, go ahead.
Like to ask Greg to make a motion to his amendment, or his motion, excuse me.
John, I specifically said 4.99%, and if anybody, I'd have to either A, take back my motion, because we have a hard number there. I don't see how it can be amended, because you can't reduce 4.99, because it's 4.99. You made the statement.
And again, the budget is more than a number. The budget is all the things that make it up. So that if Mr. Phelps wishes to make an amendment and there is a second, there will be a vote on it.
So John, does that mean that we are not voting on Craig's original motion?
There's been an amendment to the original motion made. I haven't heard a second, but there has been a motion to amend made. That's what I heard.
So Larry, do you want to articulate what the amendment is to see if anyone wants to second that?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to make amend Greg's motion that we cut line item 5046, which is virtual classrooms of 45920. We don't seem like we use it. We had a good opportunity 3 weeks ago to use it, and we didn't. So I don't think we need to have that funded.
Okay, hold on. So there is a potential amendment to the motion. Is there a second to that? Okay, so there's a motion and a second. Discussion on this.
So I just need clarification, because virtual high school is an opportunity for high school students, and it actually does save us money, because instead of hiring a teacher for the coursework, we have an online class, and that teacher, by law, we have to have supervision. But virtual high school is an opportunity for students to access courses that we don't offer, which, by the way, is in every high school, and they often have multiple teachers. We have one.
Okay.
And again, it's high school, so I just need to make sure that the committee understands, in high school, you can leave and have opportunities at other high schools. So I would be remiss if I didn't caution you that a virtual high school is typically something that has your AP students who want higher level college courses and can't access, because we're doing our basic needs for BEP, for the common average typical peer, and the best that we can do. But the virtual high school allows us to allow opportunities for high school students to excel. I just need to make sure everyone knows what that is.
What's that?
So virtual.
I thought that was a snow day.
Okay, so I just have a question. I have a clarifying question on the virtual classroom superintendent card. So you're saying that these students are taking virtual classes and not coming into school, or they're taking certain classes virtually in addition to classes in person?
So virtual high school, they come to our high school to do that.
Okay.
Simon.
May I?
Yes.
First, Madam Clerk, may I?
Yes, say your name for the record,
Simon Manlove,
please.
I'm from the town of Hopkinton. Madam Clerk, could I have you repeat the line number of the line that Mr. Phelps's amendment to the motion has proposed to reach?
I was going to ask him the same thing. He was speaking 5046.
5046.
You got it.
And that is for
Simon,
virtual classrooms?
Yep, virtual classrooms. Do you have a-
Madam Superintendent, you say that is the virtual high school?
Yep, address
attendance?
it to the chair, please.
Madam Chair, could I have the superintendent confirm that that is the virtual high school program that our students can enroll in?
That's budgeted.
Yes. So yes, in the program of study, it's under e-learning in our program of study.
Got it. Then just to clarify, this is effectively students who attend our high school and are taking classes at our high school can take, I did this when I was in school here, can take a class that we do not offer. For me, it was AP Calculus BC and AP Physics C, classes that we don't offer because there just isn't enough student interest in them nobody's going to take them. So what I did and what each student in this program does is they have a block set aside where they will go to a designated classroom, usually their advisory or A6 with Mr. Whitaker, and they will take the class online instruction from a teacher somewhere else, and they will take that for credit here. This is not virtual classrooms as in our teachers here will teach their usual classes to their usual students virtually in the event of school being closed, which I believe some people's statements have given the impression that that's what they thought it was. So this is a specific program mostly for our high achieving students. This is not a replacement for our current classes.
Okay. Jess? Okay, this is going to be a long night if we keep clapping, and I'm really trying to, be considerate of your support here, but we need to move on. And if there's going to be this interruption every single time that somebody makes a comment, we're going to be here for a while. So Jess, did you have your hand raised?
So just to say out loud, the amount for this line item is $34,459.20. This is a line.
Just talk right into the microphone because Gina can't hear you.
I heard you. It was another sound.
The amount of this line item is $34,459.20. This is something I had asked about. It was provided updates because there was an increase in not quite $10,000 this year. I'm not in favor of cutting $34,000 when the calls for cuts are much more. I think I said in my statement, I'm not in favor of lots of small cuts, and I'm not in favor of a big cut. So I wouldn't support this reduction, especially because it would eliminate the program.
Okay, so we do have an amendment and a second. Is there any other discussion on this? Polly? Is there any more discussion on line item 5046? Nope. So I appreciate the my colleague's comment about this particular line item. That does represent almost a 43% increase over last year. So a 43% increase over last year is about a little over $10,000. So I mean, we have to start somewhere if we're going to be making reductions. So there is a motion and a second on this. Is there anyone that wants to move this question and vote on this?
I have an amendment.
To the amendment?
But I don't know how they stack up.
So hold on. So Polly has an amendment, but is it an amendment related to 5046?
No.
Okay.
I don't vote on that.
Chair, I take a motion to move the question.
Okay, so the question is moved. So if the question is moved, that means we have to vote immediately. So, Madam Clerk, can you restate the motion, please?
Mr. Phelps would like to make an amendment to the motion from Mr. Luzon to say that we would reduce the budget by line item 5046 in the amount of $34,459.28 for virtual classrooms.
Okay.
Seconded by Ms. Tappan.
Okay, so all those in favor?
So just to clarify, we'll be approving the budget with a $34,000 cut. That's fine. I know I just said I didn't want to cut it, but if that's the only cut, I'll do it.
Is that the only cut?
If that's the only cut, we're doing it. That's what this motion is. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
All right, ready to
So
vote.
far.
All in favor?
So far.
So, wait a minute.
No, she's saying
The motion was to approve the budget without cuts. He made an amendment to make this one cut. Now we're moving the question. The question is approve the budget with a $34,000 cut for virtual high school. That's fine.
John?
It is.
That's what he said.
Well, I don't think that was his intention.
Well, that's what happened.
That's what I tried to.
Come on, guys. Order, please.
Tried to warn you.
Ms. Purcell, could you repeat the question, please?
Repeat the question.
My question is not a question. It's a statement just to clarify what's going to happen, which is that there was a motion to approve the budget without cuts. Larry amended the motion to make this cut to virtual high school. It's $34,000. And I think we're Diane said move the vote, so we're moving to approve the budget with a
No, you're moving-
$34,000 cut.
you're moving respectfully, you're moving the amendment.
What about the original motion to approve the budget?
And the answer to that is there's an amendment on the table and you have to vote on the amendment.
You have to approve the
first.
amendment first.
You have to approve the amendment first. I also do want to remind everybody, when somebody moves the question, you're supposed to take a vote on moving the question.
Immediately, right. Okay. So,
Excuse me, John, in reference to that, doesn't the chair have to rule first and then I could appeal, let's say I move the motion and then I can appeal?
Any member of the committee can move the motion. If somebody moves the motion, the chair needs to take a vote. There has to be a second and there has to be a vote immediately. If the motion to move the question is adopted, then the motion before the committee, which at the moment is an amendment, has to then be voted on immediately.
okay.
And is that a 2/3 vote?
A motion to move the question? My recollection is no. It's a
Okay,
majority vote.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Gina was speaking in my ear. So what was the answer to that question? Does it need a 2/3 vote? No. No majority. Okay. Dr. Kamala, did you want to offer something before this vote is taken, please?
Yeah, I don't have the actual enrollment, but we have a significant number of high school students that do take advantage of this program. And like Mr. Manlove said earlier, as someone who was in there, this does benefit several of our students who can take AP courses that we don't offer because of enrollment.
Okay, thank you.
Clerk, was there a second on Diane's motion to move the vote?
No.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
We'll keep everything orderly.
Karen?
Dr. Kamala, if we eliminate this, do you think students would then go to other schools in order to access these high-level AP classes?
I can't make that prediction.
Okay.
I just know that we would lose access to courses that we don't offer.
Yep.
And that are specialty courses.
Okay, so all those in favor of removing purchase services, virtual classrooms, line item 5046, please raise your hand.
Chair, you have to vote on her point of, on her moving the, John said you have to vote on Ms. Teff's moving the question, right, John? Yes. Okay, sorry. You just said, correct me if I'm wrong, that you have to take a vote on Ms. Teff's moving the question.
That is correct.
Okay. So
I seconded it.
You did.
Now
Yeah.
we vote
Right.
to move
To move the question. Okay, so all those in favor of moving the question? Madam Clerk, do you have those hands raised?
Thank you, yes.
Okay, all those opposed to moving the question? So Linda, Jess, Karen.
Thank you.
Okay, so the ayes have it. Okay, so all those in favor of eliminating line item 5046, purchase services for virtual classrooms, raise your hands.
Thank you, Pat.
All those opposed? Okay, so the noes have it. Okay, so.
Can I
Hold on,
approve the budget?
wait a minute. Were there any abstentions?
Oh.
Okay, Polly.
I'd like to make an amendment to the budget as well. I personally would like to cut K through sixth grade computers, one-to-one computers.
That's too big of a.
And I know Jean is going to have some comments. I requested this in a public meeting, the figure of how much it would be to condense the amount and find out how much it's costing us for computers for K through sixth grade, one-to-one. The licenses, fees, and everything. I haven't gotten that. I sent a reminder email on February 11th requesting that information. You can't tell through the budget packet what's assigned to what. So I don't really have a figure. And I suspect that there are a few teachers who would like to retain some computers within their classrooms for certain things, science and such. It seems like a deeper a deeper question for the school district, and some research needs to be done with those teachers on who would like to keep a certain amount in their classroom. That being said, I've had 3 children go through this school district, and I did not pick 6th grade lightly. I have seen their real interest and real use start to bloom around 7th grade. Up until through 6th grade, they're bringing them home. They're playing video games on them every night. There are some very good math applications, but those could, I think, can be done in the classrooms. So I'd like the school committee to consider cutting computers 1-to-1 from K through 6th grade.
That's actually not a budget item. So I just need to clarify, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
So the school committee has a 1-to-1 policy, and you have a contract with the teachers union that tells them that they have a say in their curriculum. So what you're saying is something that has to be done first through policy and practice, because you're going to be violating your own policies that exist. So when you remove, and to be clear, I mean, I think members should see instruction in kindergarten and 1st grade, because I think it sounds like they're on their computers all day. We don't have to send the Chromebooks home. That's a school improvement team conversation. That's actually not part of our curriculum. It does not say that. So I would recommend that the committee go back to their policies to review prior to, well, I don't know what you would be cutting, because you have to actually add to the budget. So I'm a little confused, but to just clarify the request, and I think that I sent all school committee members an email. I do not work for individual members. Ms. Hopkins, I've stated to you several times, you have to make your motions in public so that no, you did not.
No, you
We
never
went back, you asked for a future agenda item, but you did not ask for a vote from the committee. In order for me to do a job, per your rules of conduct, the majority of the committee must act so I can do the job. You never did that. I apologize. My responsibility is to the students. While I will always help my school committee members, you have to come meet with me to do that, for me to assist you. And I'm more than happy to do that, Member Hopkins, but it's been 4 years and you have yet to come to see me once.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second on this? So
Well, there's no number.
there's no number. There's no line item number. Okay.
That's not how it's.
All right. Okay, Karen?
Line item
Can I
in the
have
budget.
clarification? There is no motion?
No motion.
Right.
Okay, then
You're good?
reserve.
Okay. So, because I'm the chair, I can't make motions. But
Can I make a motion? Can I move the question, Craig's original motion, to approve the budget?
okay. So do we have let's take a vote on moving the question.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. So all of those in favor of adopting
Moving the
the
question.
fiscal year.
No. Moving the question
Oh, I'm
first.
sorry.
I
All
vote-
those in favor of moving the question? Moving the question to actually vote on Craig's motion of approving the fiscal year 27 budget without any more substantive discussions on potential reductions. Okay. All those opposed? Ed? Okay, so it looks like the ayes have it. So now we're going back to the original motion that to adopt the fiscal year 27 budget as is. So all those in favor of adopting the fiscal year 27 budget? All those opposed? So the noes have it. So that means that the fiscal year 27 budget is not adopted. So now.
So now what?
No.
Is that?
Chair.
No. Excuse me?
Chair, it means my motion is not adopted.
That your motion is not adopted. Okay, so now, oh my goodness, this is confusing. All right, so then we will go to further discussions on potential reductions. Pat?
Yeah, I had requested, and to the best of my knowledge, I did not get information about the costs of the sports programs, what each individual one costs. I know you're very busy, Gina, I don't know.
It's the same answer, it's the same response. So in order for me to do work for a school committee member, you all have to, it's the will of the committee, not individual.
Okay.
So the motion has to be made. That's why, and I know you missed, you were unable for personal reasons, and I apologize. And I know that's hard. So as of February 10th, just to clarify the process, so the budget season starts for us in October, where then myself, Mr. Jenny, and the team finalize it and bring it to the school committee. I bring my recommendation in January, the first week of January. I give my presentation at the first school committee meeting. The school committee has from my presentation up until the third week of March to make and adopt a budget. As of February 10th, that's when I said at the meeting, and I know, Pat, you were unable to attend, I said, I need direction or action. There was no action taken at any meeting, at any budget workshop, or at any meeting, so therefore I am unable, that's why I sent that email, and I know I reminded everybody this week that in order for me to have to make, to do work for the committee, I need a vote and an action in the public, because the public is required to know what you're asking me to do, and I have to work for the majority.
Okay.
Okay, so seeing no other hands raised, I cannot make motions as the chair, but I would like to suggest some potential reductions, and maybe somebody around the table might be willing to make that motion. So if you look at line item row 275, salaries K through 12, social worker, psychologist. So this line item has increased between fiscal year 24 to fiscal year 27. And I'm just going to round these figures so I don't have to be, super specific here, but you'll get the idea. The fiscal year 24 line item was approximately $662,000, and that now has increased to $1.21 million since fiscal year 24. So would anyone like to make a motion to reduce this line item to potentially remove one social worker / psychologist from the budget?
I make a motion.
Okay.
One social worker.
Okay. Do we have a second? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Okay, so,
Yeah, you have to. So typically, I'm going to be, so the school committee has already, my recommendations came with those cuts already. So what best practice would be is, and I would recommend to the committee, if you want a dollar, I would say that because you're unaware and we have not been able to do our due diligence about what that impact would be, my suggestion is approximately, because we have to pay unemployment if I have to cut a staff member, unemployment's about what, 10, 12,000? So it would probably about, I would say, if you're cutting a certified teacher, that's about 98,000, because we have to reduce for the unemployment. And if you're cutting a non-certified paraprofessional, then that's about 60,000, because, well, 52,000 because of unemployment. Well, I mean, again, this is rough off the top of my head based on my last review. So it is not in our best interest to say a position, because I have not been able to review the services of the students in comparison to the request.
okay. So then my recommendation would be, can we reduce the line item for line item number 275?
It's not line item budget, just it's overall, just salary.
Okay, well, okay, so
You don't have to say line item.
to reduce that line item to the fiscal year 26 adjusted budget figure from 1.217 million, which was proposed for fiscal year 27, back to the fiscal year adjusted budget level of 1.045 million.
Can I apologize, but the line item is based on numbers for that is an example of the current budget as if nothing changes. When you cut a position, then things change, so I just need a dollar amount.
Okay,
So maybe add up all of your
You don't need the line, just tell us the dollar amount.
What's the amount?
So
of
to
all the
reduce
reductions
that
you have
line
on your
item
list?
by
Not just that
one-
line item, everything you have.
Just say like, you want to reduce non-certified staff salaries, but by what amount?
Certified staff.
So
I mean, certified or non-certified?
So you would like us to just give just an overall number, and then you will then decide on what the
Well-
reductions may be based on a figure that we're giving you this evening?
So it have, because I don't.
And I don't know that I agree with that, because, we're hearing, well, I'm just saying.
But by law, I have to make sure the services are provided to the kids.
Okay, but the feedback that we received tonight was, and the emails that I received was, I don't want sports cut, I don't want this cut, I don't want that cut. So then what can come back to this committee is, sports and things of that nature. So, I mean, I had you know, I was asked last week at the financial district meeting to come with specific reductions, and now I'm ready to make specific reductions. So now I'm getting like mixed messages here. So,
With all due respect, Chair, may I say?
yes.
While I understand the frustration, and this being your second budget season, what I want to explain is that I have typically, the reason why this has never happened before is because I have always come, and you may remember there's a budget sheet, because you have asked me in public with a vote of what you wanted me to do, and I do that research so that I can inform you of what that would impact. Because we have not heard from the committee as a whole about the will of the majority, we were unable to bring that to you. So right now, we're working off the top of our heads to the best of our ability, but what I can tell you is when we talk about specific line items, I have to check enrollments, I have to check kids' transcripts in high school, because if we make one step wrong, you can impact IEPs, 504s. I can't, when you say we have no idea what the enrollment is, there's a lot of information that goes into that.
Okay.
So it is in the best interest, and that is my recommendation, to just say the dollar amount, what's the number you would like us to cut? And just give us that number.
Okay.
And then we'll do our best to provide you what that would look like, and then.
All right, so if I may finish, can you give us an update before I make a recommendation? Can you give us an update on the transportation audit that you received a draft of last week? So that's my first question.
Yes, so myself, Dr. Camella, and Mr. Zenian all met with it's the services that did the audit. It's in draft because we're in the part where we have to now, Mr. Zenian and I are reviewing it. We need to set up a meeting with Ocean State to have some conversations. Right now, it's very preliminary. The good news is we run very efficient busing. The bad news is we run very efficient busing. But we do believe, based on some of the conversation, that there is, but again, this takes work and time and collaboration. I don't have that for you today because we just had that meeting on Thursday, Mr. Zenian, with the draft. And actually, Dr. Carino was excellent. He made sure that we had access. We were the first district to have access, even though we were at the tail end of the audit. And our anticipation is if we go back, and again, with transportation, I have to review IEPs, I have to review their, transportation needs. Mr. Jenny and I feel like once we get all the information, we may be able to save one bus with our local contribution, and then myself, Mr. Aronakis, and Mr. Pedraza for statewide are going to be meeting to discuss how we can condense our statewide to be able to save there. But it's potentially about 200,000 if all goes well. Again, I'm trying.
Yep.
I'm also at the State House tomorrow night. I'm at the State House Thursday night. Megan Carter has put in additional, she's also put in for housing and property tax relief for Richmond and actually all of the state of Rhode Island, so that we can alleviate some of that. But there's still transportation work to be done. We know it doesn't fit the timeline of the Char-Howe Act budget or the town's budgets, like it doesn't for any district. But we do believe that there's opportunities with our transportation to get some savings. Our Ocean State partners have been excellent. When we call them and ask them, they typically do a very good job of giving us efficient runs.
Excuse me, Gina. Let's give the superintendent our attention, please. Thank you.
But it looks like we could tighten up some procedural stuff to ensure that there's criteria around how we're distributing certain transportation, why we think we could possibly get one bus from our local and then another one from statewide.
Okay. Were there any other potential opportunities for either, I know revenue's not your job, but any other potential opportunities for revenue or assistance from the state legislators up to this point?
Yes. So right now, the Department of Education allows for universal pre-K. It's not something that Char-Howe has looked into, but we've been working with our partners in EWG that have just moved to universal pre-K about a year ago, and I am in communication with them about that kind of work that they've done in this rural area. I have expertise in that in both North Providence and Providence, and we do think that, however, if cuts are made tonight, I won't be able to do this, but we would be thinking about looking at our pre-K enrollment and shifting a certified teacher into an opportunity for pre-K where we could do where universal pre-K, that's not your pre-K where you're thinking of right now. We only service our IEP students, grades 3 through 5, and we only their typical peers. So there's a certain number that the law allows us to do that, so that we don't provide universal pre-K because it's at the cost of the parent. So that's something that, but again, I would have to come in front of this committee to do that. You would have to do that, but it is something that we're looking at for universal pre-K to offset costs for our pre-K.
And you said that that is different than what we considered a few weeks ago
Correct.
in increasing the pre-K tuition.
Right, universal pre-K comes in, and I would have somebody from the Department of Ed explain some of that so that you could ask the questions. But it comes with the Coventry moved to that, if anybody's familiar with that, where the state does like a lottery. So it's not like I would pick the students, it's based on a lottery, similar to how charters would do like a spot in a classroom. And then we would offer that, in the morning pre-K to about whatever number the committee desires, because again, there's a limit, because then it can raise costs, so you have to be mindful of that. So if that's something that the committee is interested in, then Mr. Jenny and I would do our due diligence if you make the motion to ask us to pursue that. The other opportunities that we can discuss, and we started this a few years ago, myself and the former Chair Giusti, and then Chair Lyle, and as well as speaking to the attorney, is many of our parents that I have interviewed that either have homeschooled or that have going into charters, they're looking for before and after school care, not something we have been able to provide. More than a few, 20, 30 minutes, we do our best, but in the end, that comes at a cost. But if you put it out for a vendor, there's opportunities. So for example, in North Providence, as a school committee member there, one of my colleagues presented the proposal, and we offered up an RFP, request for proposals, and we got bids from after school and before school providers, and then that they come in and that company runs it, but because you're regional, you wouldn't have to do this extra step. What we did instead was we went to the town council and asked for all the money that was brought in by revenue from the before and after school daycare, go right back into the elementary school facilities plans, capital plans, and make sure that we could continue robustly do our schools. And then it gave us enough money for our capital planning projects.
Okay. And then I do have a question for Mr. Zenyan. So I know last week at the financial district meeting, we talked about, what was a number that could soften the impact to the town of Richmond relative to the local contribution. And when I asked about lowering that contribution, we had talked about 1.5 million. And if a reduction of 1.5 million were to take place, what would be the impact to Richmond with a $1.5 million reduction? And then can you give us the reduction percentage for 1 million? And then potentially the reduction for 750,000, please. Yes. And I don't know if we need to take a 5-minute recess here or, okay.
Lynn, did you just run this too? Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, please. A $1.5 million reduction would bring your overall budget to 1.61% with Charlestown with a 2.22% increase, Richmond with a 4.3% increase, and Hopkinton with a negative 1.6%.
Okay. And that is the local contribution only, right?
No, it's already. Does it include state aid or not? Yes. That's the overall budget.
That's with state aid.
That's with state
Lynn,
aid. Okay, and then
Including,
with
yes.
that,
I just want to make sure we verify.
please. That's with state aid? No. Okay. Stand by.
Hold on.
That's okay.
That is. Without state aid.
That is without state aid. Okay, so that would be the local contribution. Okay. Without state aid. Okay, and then what about a $1 million reduction, please?
Give me 1 second.
Thank you.
So a $1 million reduction would bring the overall budget to 2.74%. Am I correct, Lynn?
Yep, we're good. I can see her. Yes.
Okay. Charlestown would go to 3.15%, Richmond to 5.48%, and Hopkinton to negative 0.37%.
Negative 0.37%. Okay, and is that with state aid or just the local contribution only?
That's local only.
Okay, thank you. And then, is it possible to run the figures for a $750,000 reduction, please?
Yes, do you want to hear it with state aid before I change it?
Yes, sure. You mean with the million?
So the million with state aid would bring your overall budget to 3.07%. Lynn, am I correct? Okay. And that would bring Charlestown to 2.38%, Richmond to 2.43%, and Hopkinton to 4.1%.
Okay, thank you.
One more, 750,000.
Yes, please.
At $750,000, your overall budget would be a 3.3% increase. Charlestown would have a 3.62% increase. Correct, Lynn? Richmond would have a 6%, and Hopkinton would have a 0.25%. That's without aid. If you include state aid, it would be a 3.49% increase, with Charlestown at 2.8%. Richmond at 2.85%, and Hopkinton at 4.53%.
4.53%?
Yes.
Okay. So, are there any other hands raised? Jess?
So to be clear, no one in this room has asked for that. No one in this audience that commented came to that podium and said, I want you to cut between 750,000 and 1.5 million.
I'm aware.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, somebody had their hand raised?
Committees started the budget in October. You've had 6 months. Whether it's a good budget or a bad budget, this is what you've got. So, I mean, to randomly pick dollar amounts without knowing what they're attached to, I think is dangerous. In my mind, the committee has done all the work they're going to, at least up until this point. Approve it and send it to the voters. Let the voters decide.
Okay. Linda?
Chair, I just can't help to, I mean, I don't, a $750,000 cut has to be staff and/or programs affecting kids. So I don't understand where you're going with this. I'd like to understand that, because I said it 2 meetings ago, if you're going to cut this budget, because I think the budget was presented to us pretty bare bones by the superintendent. And I know other people have said, we looked at this with a fine tooth comb and there's really not that much to cut, other than staff, programs for kids, and/or sports.
Buses.
Okay.
Buses. I mean, there's just, I don't know where we're going to get $750,000 to cut.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gina, I'm sorry. Sure. Yes.
So one of the questions that have come up in both some questions that we think would be helpful for maybe some of the members is that why state aid means that an increase for Hopkinton, because sometimes I'm going to let the budget person do it, but then if you have questions, please come to the podium, because this is an important conversation and I want to make sure that everyone's informed. If you don't mind, Mr. Zenia.
I do mine, but, so your state aid is what the state gives to you that you absolutely have to spend on education. You don't have a choice. Somewhere along the line in Charahoe, people decided they wanted to know the numbers before and after. And I've only been in this job for about 16 months, so I would like to change certain things now that I have over a year under my belt, and I've realized that, you know, depending on the year, the numbers were picked that sounded the best to the public. So some years the number sounded better if you used state aid, and some years it didn't. The bottom line is, your bill is your bill, and then you reduce state aid from it, and that's what the towns have to pay. And then the following year, for example, Hopkinton is getting $1.1 million more in state aid than it did last year. So before state aid, it looks like Hopkinton's paying more, but once they get their aid, they're paying a lot less. Now, before June 30th, if the governor takes $500,000 from Hopkinton, they're going to feel it. Just like Richmond is feeling the $330,000 that was taken from you this year. You're relying on state aid to balance your local town contribution to education. And that's not what it's for. So, and I have been a community, I live in one of the 3 communities for 26 years, and I've worked for this district for 23 of my 30 years in education. And I've heard members here and retired school committee members say for years that you're kicking the can down the road. The can went off the road years ago. I don't know where the can is or what you're kicking, but at some point, we're going to have to look at it and say, what do we want? And if we don't want to educate our children at a high rate, and you know, you don't want the buildings of 21st century, then you're going to have to speak up at these meetings and make decisions. But we are responsible as a school district to supply a budget, which we did. And then there was very little input on it. And what we're not hearing is $2.5 million was already reduced from this budget. This budget did not come to you with what was asked for. The superintendent, along with administrators, sat down and said, okay, these are the wants, but what are the needs? And 2.5 million was already reduced. You want to reduce more, you have to make those decisions. But I need numbers, and then we'll go from there.
Go ahead, Gina. So I do want to explain to the public that there's been some comments made about local contributions versus the federal contributions and the state contributions. The Department of Education, along with the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns, have worked very hard together to get digital dashboards, financial dashboards, which are available to every member of this public. The school committee has received presentations both in budget subcommittees as well as they have in here as a committee member seated at this table about a year ago. That digital review shows that our local contributions have not kept up with state aid. We have received more state aid than ever before for the last 3 years. Previous to that, yes, myself and many of your reps and senators have had to advocate to get complete regional transportation bonus. Rep. Carter has put in a bill to increase that bonus as well for being regional. And I'm at the State House every week. I would love to see some of your faces there because it matters. But in the end, what's incorrect is that, you know, when people say this is too much, to Mrs. Enian's point, I have done my history homework. I love education. I'm a bit of a geek. But if you go back to the 1950s and look at the way that we're funding, I would question that the fact that when the school committee gives back $3.1 million in a fund balance to offset member contributions, they're trying to lower the tax rate or the give from the taxpayer. But our job is to use those dollars for education. And if you go back to the meeting last year, I explained we probably wouldn't need to be sitting here and having this conversation. But and again, what I want to tell you is history repeats itself, and it feels like Groundhog Day in budget season. But I want to say thank you to Ms. Davis. Counselor Davis has come to meet with me every year.
Not only did she come to meet me, but she calls me. And I said to myself this year, Miss Davis did not hand me her piece of paper and cuts. But I'm not going to speak for her. But what I can tell you is, myself and Mr. Denny were having this conversation today. Miss Davis, I want to thank you for your service to our kids, to your town, to your members, because I know it's not easy. And I know sometimes it's hard to be on the side that where people are always talking about cutting. But Mr. Denny is not wrong. Barry Ritchie sat in the seat, and before him, John Peeney, and before that, I forget the name, so if maybe Craig Lozano remembers. But that it's always the same thing, cut, cut, cut. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm an advocate for students, and I understand that can seem off-putting sometimes to taxpayers. But I'm a taxpayer, I pay state taxes. And I can tell you, I feel very strongly that the budget in front of you, is it the best we can do? No, for kids. We can do better. But I knew if I came in higher, that was not possible. But when we give back $3.1 million to offset every year, we give back dollars. We do it every year. And the fund balance policy, we've been told by auditors that it's too low. It should be anywhere from 7 to 15%. Don't get out of your chair, Ms. Davis. I'm not doing that tonight. The 2.25, I mean, it's like if you drop it anymore, on one blizzard, and it's coming according to everybody else, maybe March 18th, away from catastrophe. And we're not a local town. We're not a district school committee. We're a regional district, which means I don't have anybody to go back to. So if a budget passes that's lower than the 4.9 based on preliminary state aid, and Mr. Anderson, please correct me if I'm wrong, I have to notify the Auditor General that I do not have enough cash flow to be able to pay my bill as of July 1.
Thank you. Craig and Karen.
Madam Chair, is there a motion on the floor?
No.
Nope.
At this time, I make a motion to approve the budget, including state aid at 4.99% minus $100.
Second.
1 second. Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? So the noes have it. So, Karen?
This is the budget that was created by the forgotten taxpayers. It started with level funding. It's been through years of cutting. It's been cutting the fund balance. And now you're seriously looking at cutting sports and programming that will cause our kids to go to other districts that we will pay for.
Okay, we had a motion, we voted on it, and now we're going to move on to the next line item.
You don't have a point of order.
to explain what happens if we don't adopt the budget. That's chair.
Hold on, Mr. Cardoza. I have not recognized you, so hold on one moment.
Wait right here.
Thank you. So, John, what will happen next as a result of this motion that was just voted on not to adopt the fiscal year 27 budget?
I have in front of me the Charahoe Act. And section 15.3 of the Charahoe Act says, not later than the third Tuesday in March in each year, and subsequent to the public hearing at the annual regional school district meeting on the proposed budget, the district school committee shall adopt a final proposed budget. The word there is shall. And I want to remind everybody on the school committee, when you were all sworn in, you agreed, when you raised your hand, to uphold the Constitution and the laws of the state of Rhode Island. The Charahoe Act is a law. And the law is that you shall do this by the third Tuesday, which is next Tuesday. So the clock is running.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, okay, so we voted on the agenda item. So I think at this point, we're going to move on to the next agenda item.
Well, you have an alternative, don't you?
I'm sorry?
This is a bottom line budget. It is not a line item budget. Find a bottom line you can agree on and then let the administrators figure it out.
Scott?
Scott Sunderland, Hopkinton. Chairperson does want. Earlier, you had said that each town has 6 point something million in their fund balance.
Yes.
And if each town would give $500,000 out of each fund balance, we wouldn't be having this discussion anymore. Well, as you said, we need to have 1.5 million off the table originally. So if you could recommend superintendent writes a letter to each town council about them giving that $500,000 from each fund balance towards the budget, this conversation will end if they'll do that.
Okay. So do we have, Jess?
With all due respect, you're just shifting the responsibility to the towns. It's the same taxpayers. It's all in the same bucket. I get it, but it's not solving the issue at hand, which is that we're a school committee tasked with adopting this budget. We approved a budget on February 10th. I would think that if we can't adopt a budget tonight, the budget we approved on February 10th is the one that would go to the voters. If we miss that deadline.
Look, I'm just looking for other ways
I get it.
to keep the money in the budget.
It comes from the same
the
place.
way it's going right now, it does not look like this budget's going to pass to give to us. So this is one way that we could possibly solve this problem, is if Gina can write a letter to them and get it done maybe tomorrow and try to, it's going to have to be
Shifting
expedited.
our responsibility to another body.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson?
You know what? I've often said to you, my job is to make sure that you don't step into a pothole. And I'm very concerned that you're about to step into the biggest pothole you've ever stepped in. The Charahoe Act is very clear that you shall adopt a budget. What that budget is up to you, but you shall adopt it. Okay? It's not some budget, with all due respect, that was voted on in the past. It's the budget. People have been told all along, this is going to be the meeting where the budget is voted on. So you need to adopt a budget. I want to be very clear so that you all understand the consequences of not adopting a budget. If you don't adopt a budget, there is nothing to present to the voters. The voters will have no say in this process. In addition to that, pursuant to state law, the amount of local contribution will be exactly the same as it was last year until such time there is a budget. The problem, though, is you will have missed the train. The train leaves next Tuesday. Under state law, you can only spend 1/12 of that money in each month. So in preparation for this meeting, I asked Mr. Zenyan if you can make payroll under that system.
So if I understand the question correctly, you would basically say that if they do not approve a budget tonight and we do not re-meet, we would go to a maintenance of effort, which would be another 2.2 something million reduction in this budget. I do not believe we would be able to make our 12 monthly cash flow payments next year. So if that is correct, on July 1st, I would notify the superintendent and the state that you're operating in the red.
I'd have to actually, John, correct me if I'm wrong, I have to notify the minute I understand that I'm going to be.
Yeah, I'm not waiting. My advice to you is not to wait till July 1st. I think that if next Tuesday comes and goes without a budget, you need to notify the Auditor General that you don't have, that you will not, you will operate in the red. And then the Auditor General will come in, not the voters. Okay? The Auditor General will come in.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Gina, did you want to
John, don't wait
add
for
to
a
this?
second. I think it might be helpful. I apologize if the chair would allow.
Go ahead.
John, if you could explain, so the difference between my responsibility, because who determines the maintenance of effort once the Auditor General gets here? I think it's important the committee understand the Title 16 opportunity. With the commissioner.
State law says the maintenance of effort is the amount that the community provided the prior year. And that is in the budget year that we're currently in. You, though, make the decision in terms of whether or not you can operate. That is not a school committee decision. That is a superintendent responsibility. That state law says the superintendent has to write the letter. The letter will get sent to the Hopkinton Town Council, the Charlestown Town Council, and it also will be sent to the Auditor General, and the Auditor General will come in and try to straighten out this mess. But again, the result will be the voters don't have a say.
Okay, so thank you for that clarification, Attorney Anderson. So I do have a clarifying question or really a comment. This is not easy, and I recognize that. And I'm sure, there are many frustrated people tonight. Samantha, I see your hand, so just give me a moment. Thank you. So we also are going to be faced with a bond for one new elementary school in the fall.
The next budget item.
Yeah, it is the next budget item, but I am commenting on that, so don't interrupt me when I'm speaking, because I'm not interrupting you, okay? You've always said that to me before, so I'm not finished yet. When I'm finished, then you could speak. So, I'm sorry. So with that being said, the priority is, we have twofold priorities. We have budget priorities and we have bond priorities. I don't know how much the taxpayers can bear for both priorities. And I understand that we have to balance that responsibly. And if I can finish, then anyone on the dais can speak. I will recognize you. So with that being said, my opinion is further reductions need to be made to the budget. So if you're saying that we're going to step in a pothole, John, I respect that and I recognize that. And I am willing to work with people on the dais and the superintendent and her administration to make some reductions. But to say that we're going to approve the budget as it is without giving them a figure, I think that we need to...
I want to be very clear. It's not my role as the attorney to tell you what the budget should be.
I know.
It is not my role as the attorney to, whether you have virtual learning or soccer teams at the middle school, that's not my job.
Sure.
My job, though, is to say that you have a deadline in the Charahoe Act. I will address the bond. The bond does not have to be decided tonight. The General Assembly is sitting into the end of May, early June. So you've got time.
Okay.
And I appreciate that having two items on this agenda is a big order, and you might consider putting the bond off to the April meeting.
Okay.
Because I'll take responsibility that that's not stepping into a pothole.
Okay, thank you.
But the budget, I stand by what I've said.
Okay, so let me recognize Samantha Wilcox. Oh, I'm sorry,
Thank you so
Larry.
much.
Hold on 1 second.
Again, Samantha Wilcox, speaking on behalf of myself. I am the Richmond Town Council president. So I just wanted to share a little bit of procedure. If you're going to be sending a letter to the towns to ask us about dipping into our fund balance, then we would need that letter by 4 p.m. tomorrow so that our meeting, we can meet at March 17th and throw it onto an already very heavy agenda. Our council does not usually make quorum for special meetings, so that's not going to be an option for us. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Thank you.
This is a school committee responsibility, and it's decisions that are hard that need to be made. And when I was here the other day at the school for the civics center, the civics meeting, one of the kids asked, what is the most difficult decision you made? And my answer was, taking away raises for my staff. That was the most difficult decision I've had to make. And that was something that, respectfully, you put on us to do. So I think that tonight, you need to make decisions so you don't step in a pothole. And I do want to remind you that chairs can make motions. I I do them all the time as town council president.
I know
we
you
see
do.
chairs do them all the time, and there's no Robert's rules that I found against it. So if there is a Robert's rule you're aware of, I'd appreciate the number so we can look it up. So please just move forward carefully, but also we've had a lot of time to handle this. And if you wanted, not if you wanted, we all want more collaboration. So I think the time would have been, again, the omnibus to discuss it. Thank you.
Thank you. Did someone have their hand raised on the dais? Larry?
Did you skip Jess? Did you that go back?
I'm sorry, Jess. Yes, I did. My apologies. Jess, please. No? Did you want to make a comment?
My comment was just when you were talking about the bond, that wasn't the agenda item we were on.
Okay. It was just in a greater context. Larry, did you have your hand raised?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept this budget with a $750,000 cut.
With how much? I'm sorry?
750,000.
Okay. Do we have a second for that? $750,000 reduction is the motion. Pat seconded it. Okay. Did you have a comment, Gina?
Not yet, no.
Okay. All right. Okay. Catherine?
I'm interested to see how this vote goes, because if you do not adopt a budget by next Tuesday, you're going to be in court, and there will be lawsuits, and that will cost taxpayers money. I know you have your marching orders to vote no on this budget, because it was all over Facebook and social media, so we know that you have your marching orders to vote no, but it is not in your best interest. Maybe not you, Pat, but other people certainly have. So hopefully you do your due diligence tonight, because you're going to find yourself in a lawsuit.
If you want to come down, please. I'm sorry, I can't see you. And Mr. Burns. Yep. So the young lady first, and then Mr. Burns. Thank you.
They're not.
Oh, and Sharon. Okay. Sharon, third up. I'm sorry. Yes. And then Jen.
Robert Burns, Hopkinton, Town Council Vice President. I am here on Beyond Myself, though, on bipartisan, two sides. I have voted and elected and appointed some of you to this table, okay? Most of you have had much time to sit at this table and come up with a number for them to cut, okay? I've heard all over social media, I've heard from you guys personally on some of you about the budget. Do I agree with the budget? No, I don't, okay? So this may piss off some, the other hand's gonna piss off the rest. I'm very good at it, and I'm okay with it. I got the thickest skin in this room. However, you've had plenty of time to come up with something. Put the vote forward to the voters and stop this BS. Enough of this, enough of wasting your time, enough of wasting our time. This is your body. You are elected for this position as to where we are on council to make our tough decisions. Put this to the voters. Let the voters cancel this out or approve, whichever they feel they must. However, do not push this to the town councils, okay, to take out of their fund balance. Because the only thing you're going to do there is rob Peter to pay Paul from the original taxpayers. That was the most absurd thing that I heard, okay? Sorry. You can't take from one person, rob from this person to pay this person to put it right back. It's coming from the same taxpayer. Whether the dollar comes this direction or that direction, it's the same tax dollar. I will have you know if that letter does come to town council, and I say this publicly, my vote is no to take from the fund balance.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon. Okay, Sharon, and then this young lady. Thank you.
I also want to say that the town of Hopkinton, with whatever you had the last time, we were at 3.94 or whatever for our town budget. And we can't go over 4. So to go any higher, forget it. And there's no way that I would vote for taking any money out of our fund balance. Thank you.
Thank you. This young lady, I'm sorry, what was your name again?
My name is Corinne Fritz. I'm a Hopkinton resident.
Yes.
I want to say respectfully, like the last two people already have, that you have had plenty of time to do this. This is the last Tuesday. You have one more week to throw something together. If you haven't been able to do it in 3 months, I don't have any faith that you will come together and figure it out in a week. If you're not sure if the residents can handle an increase in taxes or if they can pallet it, then your job is to put it to the residents and let them vote. And that tells you, can they pallet it or can they not? But sitting on it and shuffling things around because you don't agree and you want a $750,000 cut, which, as someone said earlier, is programs and staff. You cannot lose that because your numbers for enrollment will tank. No one will come to Charahoe. Charahoe will not be a high-rated school because learning will suffer the consequences. Put the vote to the people.
Thank you. Jen, did you have your name?
I do agree that we need to vote on this tonight, one way or another, but I did hear Polly ask for a cost estimate on what the technology costs for the one-to-one computers are for kindergarten through 6th grade. I publicly heard that. I would be very interested in knowing that number and what it would look like in the school budget if we were able to get the one-to-one computers out of the elementary school grades. It's distracting for the children's education. It's not promoting the best quality learning at those age levels. Their brains are not wired to handle it. It would really, really benefit out the quality of our education to get that out. We need that number.
Yes. So they can say lots of things in session, but the law says they have to take a vote. So Ms. Hopkins needed to make a motion, someone needs to second it, and then they need to agree that that's the will of the committee.
Can that happen tonight?
That's up to them.
Can somebody make a motion for that, please?
She does it at the end, and then they decide that at the end. So the same thing with Mr. Anderson. If they want Mr. Anderson to do a legal review, the same thing for Mr. Anderson. That's how that works.
So somebody could potentially make a motion for that tonight so
During
that
a future agenda item request.
So somebody would have to make a motion to get that on a future agenda item.
And that they want that's the action they want the superintendent to research. And because I need the specific motion so that this group agrees. And with all due respect, that number isn't.
This number is not going to affect this budget. I understand that. But I do believe that maybe for next year's budget, that could be investigated if a motion were made tonight to put it on a future agenda item.
Right.
Correct?
For a few, yes.
Well, it depends on what the motion is. Yes. But in order for me to get the information for a member, the committee has to say that's where they want me to spend my time, because that means it's pulling
I hear what you're saying. So could you specifically, without making it confusing for the committee members and the public, could you clearly state what somebody would need to say and if it could happen tonight?
Well, you heard the motions. I make a motion, and so when I'm a school committee member, I say, I make a motion and this is what I want. Am I going into a policy? What do you need me to do? And then the committee decides yes or no, and they ask questions of each other. It's not as easy as just saying it, because then they have to have a conversation. They have a responsibility to one another.
So this could be investigated. Your point can be investigated, potentially go to the budget subcommittee to work with Mr. Zenyan on analyzing that.
But a motion would need to be made tonight, correct?
For a future agenda item, for April or May, potentially.
Anytime an agenda item, so for example, because we're talking about the budget, this is not technically a budget item because it involves policy. So because it's off item, because the one-to-one request is a policy, then Ms. Hopkins would say she wants to review the one-to-one initiative policy. But again, I get one example, but there's a little bit of legs in there, right? So I can't tell you, I don't know what Ms. Hopkins is thinking, so I need the motion to come from her. So I clearly understand what she's asking.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. So, so we do have a motion and a second to reduce fiscal year 27 budget by 750,000. Are we ready to vote on this motion?
Chair,
Yes.
right after he made the motion, people from the audience were allowed to talk, but we weren't.
Okay. Did you have your hand raised? And did I miss your hand?
We didn't get chance.
Okay. Well,
So can we entertain members?
of course. Okay. Discussion. Yes.
First of all, we've had months. I've mentioned it every single school committee meeting. We should be working on this, and we've kicked the can. We've kicked the can. I had to say that. My motion, basically, and I said, this is the baseline, because I knew it was going to happen tonight. And no, I'm not in favor of $750,000. And I agree with what some people have implied.
Thank you, Craig. Anyone else from the members? No other hands raised? Okay. So we do have a motion and a second for a $750,000 reduction.
Audience members that have their hands raised.
More? Okay. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name's Andrew McCoy. I'm Town of Richmond. To arbitrarily pick a number, say we're going to reduce the budget by 750,000 or 750 million or whatever number you want to say, is the height of irresponsibility to pick a number and then fit the budget to it without knowing what you're cutting. It doesn't make any sense at all to say, you know, we're going to cut $750,000 and it's required that you do it, but we're not going to set any guidelines as to what needs to be cut. And at this point in your tenure as on the education committee, this should have been discussed a long time ago. This is supposed to be the final resolution for the budget. This isn't supposed to be, hey, let's see if we should have soccer for middle schoolers, because that should have been discussed in February or March or January. Wrong way. So, you know, you guys are picking stuff that doesn't make any sense for what this meeting is supposed to be about. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So are there any? Yes.
I'll be brief. Jim McCabe, Hopkinton, or excuse me, Charlestown. It's already been said several times. I just want to ensure before the vote occurs, should we go through with some sort of a flat fee decrease, that before referendum, I don't know if you can make a motion, there has to be something where the school committee represents what those cuts are. We have to know as the public, any cuts, exactly what's being cut. We can't just put a number out there. So I hope the school committee makes a motion or does their due diligence, should this happen, to communicate that to the public before the referendum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to make one comment as well?
Yes, so I'll take comments from the members first. Jess and Linda.
So as I said, no one in this room asked you for $750,000 of cuts, and that was what was proposed. And I think that's because for some people, this is not about the money. They say it's about the money year after year, but we saw 15% of extra bonuses for a school project be denied and expired because people didn't want to spend. They said it was about the money, but we could have had we could have spent $28 to $36 million on new schools. Now we're looking at spending $43.75 million on one school. So not about the money. Last year in Richmond, as Ms. Wilcox pointed out, the town increase was 0%, and it was voted down at 0% because it's not about the money. There are people that will never approve the school budget, and right now we're seeing them on the school committee voting to make an arbitrary cut that is a large amount of money that will have a huge impact on our students. And I want to know, when is enough enough? When do we lose enough that this becomes unacceptable?
Linda?
Just to answer the gentleman, that I think the second to last one, at a $750,000 arbitrary cut from this budget will be staff programs. I mean, there is just no other, I'm sorry, Jennifer.
Buses, sorry.
And buses, thank you, transportation. So all of our kids and our staff will be impacted. So that, to answer your question, I don't see it coming from I don't know where they're going to cut $750,000. I approve the budget as is. It should just stand. I agree. It should go to the voters.
Okay, we have a motion.
Sorry, one more comment. $750,000 is about the amount of money that this school committee voted to add back to the budget. And now you're asking to cut it. So under pressure up here in public, we voted to approve a negotiation to increase the teacher salaries and the teacher negotiation contract. We funded a playground, world language. We reinstituted those cuts. So you're basically asking now the administration and the taxpayers to bear the brunt of what we already approved to be into the budget.
No, what you spent without.
What we spent without approval. Well, what we spent that wasn't on the budget, beyond the budget from last year. So we know that emergencies happen. We know that there's money that's needed. I don't know why reality is not squaring here.
Okay, are we ready to take a vote here? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Simon.
I believe that this number of $750,000 is being thrown around a whole lot without context, and I would like some. So if I'm hearing cuts to teachers, cuts to programs, is $750 we're losing one art teacher? Are we talking about we're losing art at the middle
art
school?
teachers. All
Are we
art
talking
music
about we're going to lose art teachers throughout the district? Is that which one of those approximately is the burden of $750,000 being cut?
Chair?
I can answer that.
That would have to be, I guess, left up to the administration to determine that. What's
So you're
the
cutting
softest
it and then
blow?
you're gonna leave it up.
Okay, ridiculous.
Well,
Recall.
as I said earlier, I had line items that I was going to go through, and it's now 9:45. So you can't have it both ways. No, I'm not going to do it now because it's 9:45. So sorry. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of
There's a
reducing?
question.
No, I think we've had enough. I think we've had enough public discussion on this. So last question or last comment.
Hi again. My name is Cara Teolis, and I'm from Charlestown. And I just have to say, I am definitely appalled with the way that some of you people treat each other and the towns you're supposed to be working for. This is disgusting. What do you think? Why are you here? Why? Really think about this. This is disgusting.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of reducing the budget by $750,000?
I just have one question, if that's okay. Go ahead, So Gina. I know you're gonna, but the next question to the point of the public is, I would have to come back, I have to do what you asked me to do. I think it's appropriate that I have some guardrails, so I understand, because obviously I gave you my recommendation, and there's $750,000 that you would like me to cut. I've explained that a certified teacher, because we'd have to do unemployment, is approximately, about 98,000. And a non-certified support staff, secretary, custodian, that's about, 60,000. Well, with unemployment, 52. And then are we doing middle school sports, high school sports, extracurriculars? What, I just want to make sure I understand when we come back, the will of the committee is to start where? Is it just people first? Is it programs and curricular? I just want to make sure I understand. So while I know it's 9:49, I have to look at these faces and these people tomorrow, and I have to make some very difficult decisions, but I need to understand, because what I don't think is fair to the public is if I come back and then you all don't agree with, somebody wanted us, because just to be fair, Ms. Pouliot, you mentioned some sports. So this is why I just want to understand the will of the committee. If this gets passed, those that say they want to cut it, I just need some guardrails, please. Pat?
Yeah, that's why I had, and I didn't realize protocol. That's why I had asked a breakdown of the costs of participation in
Right, so in
sporting
my
events.
head, Pat, I know that, middle school sports, Greg, I don't know.
$112,000.
I was gonna say, he probably knows it. It's about $112,000 if that's every middle school sport. After school transportation, before I came, Superintendent Ritchie cut, buses for after school, which means that kids who want performing arts and drama have a hard time getting to opportunities. Am I looking at depot stops, transportation? What are the kinds of things? Is there enrollment on athletics? I mean, as you can see, many of our districts are co-oping. We do that with hockey, we do that with swimming, because high school is about opportunities for students to try and enjoy their passion and that learn how to build teams and learn how to work together and learn how to collaborate. And it is the one thing that gets them out of their screens. And I agree with a lot of what our parents say, which is why I want to make sure we do our due diligence. But I think with those guardrails, I need you to make motions after this vote that tell me those guardrails so that I'm clear at the will of the committee.
So my suggestion for potential guardrails are as.
I got to vote first,
Okay.
because you're assuming that the vote's going to pass. You know it is.
I don't know, Linda, but I mean, we've talked about this before, and I see that there is a majority of people that want to see have reductions be made. So I never pretend that I know what's going to happen on this dais, because I don't. So
People where? Because the people in the audience have all accepted the budget. The
Well,
majority, very few people have said.
No, excuse me, Karen, I appreciate that, but you don't have any idea how many emails and phone calls and text
I do, because
messages.
I've received
No, I'm not finished. I'm not finished. You don't have any idea how many emails, phone calls, and text messages
No, I
I've
do,
received
because I've
about
received them
reducing
as
the
well.
budget, especially from
No,
Richmond
you've
taxpayers
received them
who
from
have said
Clay
that we
Johnson.
need to
You
be
have
mindful
received
of
them
what
from
the
Clay
prior.
Johnson. Order.
I haven't had a chance to. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm doing it now, even though we have a motion on the table.
Madam Chair? Madam Chair?
No, I'm making the suggestions. So if somebody wants,
Madam Chair, I make a motion to go beyond 10 o'clock.
okay. Do we have a second?
There's a motion on the floor.
It's a motion on.
We have to, okay, we have to wait, and, so I'll be
I guess
mindful.
we can't go beyond.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to cut 750,000. The audience is asking me where I would prioritize reductions. I have a list. Because we have a motion and a second now, I'm not going to be able to prioritize or give any guardrails or suggestions. I tried that earlier in the night, but I wanted to hear from everybody. So,
Larry has something to say.
Larry,
I
oh,
will
please.
rescind my motion.
I'm sorry, Larry? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Larry.
I will rescind my motion.
I cannot hear because people are yelling from the audience, and it's very hard to hear up here on the dais. So, Mr. Phelps, can you please repeat that?
I will rescind my motion.
Okay, is the second rescinded? Okay, thank you. So,
Now, Madam Chair, I make a
Yes.
motion to go beyond 10 o'clock after we have a 3-minute recess.
Second.
okay, all those in favor of going beyond 10 o'clock?
Yep, after a 3-minute recess.
After a 3-minute recess?
We have bills to pay.
I realize that.
Yeah, well.
I don't know
I'm
that
just
we
telling
have-
No,
the
that's
rest
what I
of the
mean.
committee.
I voted this. I know you feel.
So that was Craig, Karen, Louise, Pat, I'm sorry, Jess, and Linda. All the no's? Polly, Diane, Larry, Pat, and Ed. So the motion fails. So that's 10-10.
I make a motion to move to the district business that needs to happen tonight. I think we should move the agenda to do what they need to do.
You have to pay bills.
The consent agenda, please.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
So there's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
About the
Second.
125,000.
There was already a second.
No, sorry.
Okay,
And then it's just the budget vote that we need before this. That's the one.
What are we doing?
okay, so all those in favor, are there any consent agenda items that need to be pulled? Seeing no hands raised, all All those in favor of approving consent agenda
You might
items?
want to abstain because it's all minutes and stuff.
A, 1, 2, 3, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. All those in favor?
No.
Unanimous.
Ed's going to abstain, I think.
No, I'm abstaining.
Mr. Lowe is
Oh, I'm
abstaining.
sorry. And Ed is abstaining. Sorry, it's really hard to see up here.
I make a motion to approve the transfer of $125,000 from the fund balance to ground services account
Second.
as requested by Mr. Zenya.
So there's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this?
Right here,
Yes.
and this is for snow removal,
Yeah.
This is for all the work we've done, yes. for the
additional snow
yeah.
removal that we didn't budget for.
This is for the blizzard of
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
2026.
and Charlestown's paying $30,000 towards it, yet we plow our own. I just had to state that. Thank you very much.
Most of it's from the campus.
Well, that's about 24% of it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in, yes, we have a motion. Jess?
No, sorry, I'm voting.
Ready to vote. So we have a motion and a favor. All those in favor of transferring $125,000 from the fund balance to the ground services account? All those, okay, that is unanimous.
No,
Yes?
it's not.
Oh, Fred didn't.
Craig did it.
Oh, okay. All those opposed? Mr. Luzon? Okay, and there are no abstentions. Okay.
The only thing is the budget.
Well, and the bond.
So the bond, John said we could table it.
Okay, but we need a motion to table that. We
I'm
have,
making motion, Madam Chair, to table the bond discussion.
okay, motion to table the Unified School Construction Capital Improvement Bond language for legislation.
Second.
Table that. There's a motion and a second already. All those in favor of tabling that?
Oh, table.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining?
Could you repeat?
Yes. The motion, Ed, was to table the discussion on the Unified School Construction Capital Improvement Bond language for legislation.
We're going to table
You,
it.
okay, so yes, so that is unanimous then. Madam Clerk, did you get that? Okay. And
I make a motion to table Business C, discussion and vote of the waiver for school days.
okay,
Second.
there's a motion and a second. All those in favor of tabling that request for waiver for school days? That is unanimous. Linda, your hand was raised?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, unanimous. Okay.
How about a motion to approve D, the transportation bid from Ocean State Transit?
Second.
Okay, I would like some discussion on this. So why can't we?
No, we haven't. We got too much.
Okay, so the transportation bid from Ocean State Transit. So this is related to the budget, but it was also a question about the contract. So is there any stipulation in the Ocean State Transit budget, Ocean State Transit contract to reevaluate how many riders are on the bus at some time during the school year? Because we are being mindful of transportation costs, and I'm wondering if that could be included in this contract.
It's part of our policy.
It's part of your policy, and I do request attendance from Ocean State. So if you like me to request it at different times more frequently, you just have to tell me that.
And in the audit, it actually also, part of the audit shows us our ridership. So we were able to compare the numbers from Ocean State, which match the numbers from the ridership. And then that's what we had said, we could do the procedures to work with Ocean State to be able to think through some alternatives without hopefully impacting a majority of students.
Okay.
But yes, we already have that in your policy.
All right, because I am
Madam
aware-
Chair, may I raise a point of order? What are you doing? I mean, what happened with the budget? You are all over the agenda. This is a violation of the Open Meetings Act. You just can't arbitrarily change agendas. We have no idea where this budget stands. Will you be voting on a budget tonight?
Yes, so there was a motion to take extend our time beyond 10 o'clock and take a 3-minute recess.
It failed.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We have no idea what is happening here.
Okay,
And we're
I
all over the
apologize.
agenda. We can't follow anything. Would you please get control of this meeting and get a budget adopted tonight? Enough is enough.
Okay, John, if I was in the wrong, I apologize. There's a lot going on right now on this dais and in this room, so and it's close to 10 o'clock, so we're not,
You were working on the budget. I think you should really finish the budget discussion.
not law,
Because the train is leaving.
I can't hear you.
Sure. I'm sorry. You were working on the budget. The budget has to be done by the third Tuesday of the month. I can't guarantee you will have another meeting. You really need to get the budget done and present something to the voters.
And may I, Chair?
Yes.
Just to clear, the rule of 10 o'clock, while that is not law, that is a policy, it's a rules of conduct policy among the committee, which often, as you see, has a conversation. So you're not violating the law by going past 10. You are doing what the school committee is saying is you're sort of saying, okay, you're all adults. We are here. And if we have to say 10 o'clock, I think we've heard from many of your constituents that they've asked us to adopt a budget to just tail off Mr. Anderson. Legally, it's the Chair Ho Act and the adoption. The 10 o'clock rule is a committee rule.
Okay, so I just want to make a comment before we move on to the budget, is I cannot hear up here if there's sidebar conversations, and I'm really trying to make sure that everybody is heard from the audience and the dais. Okay, we'll get back to the budget. Jess.
So I do want to apologize. What we were doing was trying to get through the business of the agenda to make sure we did it before 10 o'clock because a majority of this body did not vote to go beyond 10 o'clock. So that's what was happening. Maybe if we're going to be flexible with the rules, we should finish the transportation bid, I think, because we are talking about that right now.
John, your
and then go to the
feedback
budget.
With all due respect, you need to do a budget today.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, you need to do a budget tonight. You don't have to do a consent agenda or transportation or bonds. You need a budget done tonight.
Okay, so we'll, I have a question. Can we move, hold on, can we move back to the budget, please? And then we'll get to the Ocean State Transit.
Thank
unless
you.
Unless it's tabled.
John, so basically, we need a budget tonight, is what you're telling me. So,
The law is,
so then, it would be safe to say that if somebody made a motion to level fund the budget, that would be a budget. Is that
would
what
be-
you're saying?
and what I'm saying is that would be a budget that would get you to the voters. However, that also would be kicking the can down the road because the superintendent needs to know where the cuts have to come from. But the first issue is getting a budget to the voters.
Exactly.
And I'm going to suspect that the voters are going to want to know where the 750,000 is coming from, but that is between you and the voters. It's not a legal question. You need to get a number to the voters to approve.
Okay, thank you. Gina?
No, I was just going to say that I want to, when we use terms like level funding and maintenance of effort, I need, both Mr. Jenny and I need to be clear what you mean by that because people are using those terms interchangeably.
Okay. So I think at this point, in hearing the feedback from the audience and hearing feedback from my colleagues around the table, the voters should be heard. So I would acquiesce and, vote to let the voters decide on the fiscal year 27 budget. Reluctantly.
He did.
He did.
So we need a motion.
Okay, so we need a motion then to adopt the fiscal year 27 budget as it's presented? What? Guys, please, I'm trying to listen to 10 other people at the table and then you who want to run the meeting. We're doing our best here to try to come to some sort of a resolution. So just give us, I know you've been patient with us, but we can't have people shouting. I can barely hear people on this dais because there's 17 different sidebar conversations as well. Okay, next. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to adopt the budget as submitted at 4.99%, which includes state aid.
Second.
No, that doesn't include state aid. 4.99% does not include state aid on this sheet.
Correct.
Which sheet?
The sheet that we were given last
I've
week,
seen a sheet that says it
sh-
does.
well, I don't have a sheet that says it does. Our
So
one
I
thing,
will eliminate, which includes state aid.
Actually, Mr. Zenni, could you just please tell the numbers, for everybody to just clarify, because it's getting late and I understand. Mr. Zenni will read with state aid and without state aid. Please do with state aid first and then without. Thank you, Mr. Zenni.
so I just want to say before you read it, that Karen just illustrated my point, that there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of numbers that we are trying to analyze and try to make decisions on. So a veteran member of the school committee just read that incorrectly. And I'm not trying to admonish you, Karen. I get it. It's late. So we have to make sure that, we're giving the right information.
Do you want it broken down by town?
No, just the budget.
Okay,
No,
so you're-
hold on, Greg. Greg, thank you for your input. The input has to come from up here. Thank you. You're not running the meeting. We're on the school committee. Do we want the numbers read?
I'll amend my motion. I make a motion to approve a budget increasing 4.99% after state aid based on superintendent recommendation and preliminary state aid information.
Go ahead, Gina.
Karen, I know it's
Go.
late.
I know it's late.
I know in our world as an English teacher, after makes sense. But it's with, just, if you could please just say, so it's very clear.
Okay.
Without
Without
state aid.
Without state aid.
Thank you. Because I think that's what you're saying. You want it, local contributions, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And
Greg,
that's
Greg, you have the floor.
So the local contributions without state aid is 4.99%. That would have Charlestown at 5.02%, Richmond at 7.82%, and Hopkinton at 2.11%.
Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. Do we have, Nina? Reports.
Well, school calendar, I just want, that will be coming in front of you again. It looks like the General Assembly.
Falling microphone.
I have to add that to the budget, sorry. That's literally a mic drop at this point.
Gina, we do reverse.
I think you're going to win an award for most.
Are we doing the, are we tabling, Ocean State?
Ladies and gentlemen.
I'm sorry.
Is there a motion to table the contract for, thank you, Gina, for reminding me, transportation bid from Ocean State? Can we have a motion to table this till the next meeting? Okay, do we have a second? We don't have a second on this?
Second, I'm sorry.
Okay, all those in favor of tabling the transportation bid from Ocean State Transit? All those opposed? All those, you opposed, Polly?
Yep.
Polly and Jess opposed.
I was good with
Anybody abstaining? No, okay. Go ahead, Gina, reports, please.
So the school calendar potential changes, just to let you all know, we will most likely, once the General Assembly and the Senate officially pass it, we have heard that the primary day is going to be moved based on Labor Day being after the Tuesday. So it looks like the state is looking to move primary day to Wednesday, not Tuesday. Once I have the official confirmation, I will be coming back to the committee. And with that information, the Civics Engagement Summit, our second annual Civics Engagement Summit was absolutely amazing. I was, once again, not only impressed by our students and our staff, but our community officials and community supporters who came to speak with the students. We had town managers, council presidents, Secretary of State, senators, and representatives, and I want to thank them for another wonderful event, and I will have more in the e-update for you in April. And for Artisy, we hope you all come and take a look at the e-update. Our Artisy, where we celebrate our performing arts, our visual arts, our industrial arts, and our STEM opportunities to be able to show you what our students have done throughout the year. And that's one of my favorite events. It's pre-K through 12, and it's an amazing time. And all community are welcome. Bring your grandma, your grandpa, your grandkids, and your friends. And thank you.
Thank you. School committee requests for future agenda items or legal opinions?
Me.
Okay, Craig had his hand.
Go to her first.
Polly, then Craig.
I have two that the policy for the one-to-one computers.
So you have to make a motion. You can't do a
Okay.
request. Okay.
Fine, I'll make a motion that the policy subcommittee review the one-to-one policy for school computers.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, we have an abstention from Ed. Okay,
I also would like to make a motion for the school committee to investigate the cost of having one-to-one computers for grades K through 6. And also to inquire to the classroom teachers.
So you have to direct the superintendent.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Just make them, you have to say, so just make a motion to direct the superintendent and what the work you want the team to do so that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I want to make sure I'm clear because.
I want to get all the pieces in there. So I would like to make a motion to direct the superintendent to
investigate the cost.
investigate the cost and everything attributed to grades K through 6, one-to-one computer usage, licenses, and so on and so forth. I would also.
That's so on and so forth. So does
Well,
this, I have licenses?
I don't know what else is behind all of that stuff.
Okay, so
with
then,
the school.
then just make,
So a comprehensive investigation on the cost.
so for example, are we saying we don't want, when we use one-to-one, are you looking to remove it from all English, all math? You don't know. I need to understand, I want to make, because again, I can't make assumptions based on what I think. I can, I know how to do that. But in the end, oftentimes, we're not calibrated. So I just want to make sure, right now, we're looking for Chromebooks, K through 6, iPads, headsets, all of it, because the technology is beyond a Chromebook. Sometimes they use
The one-to-one
iPads.
computer usage that the kids have
So it's, but is it,
that they bring home.
is it no
Chromebooks?
technology? Or is it you want us to investigate, because then I have to get textbook costs, content costs, which contents,
That
which
can
areas?
be another motion.
Okay, so
down
this
the
is
road.
just how much
Yeah.
we pay in Chromebooks.
What, yes, for K through 6th grade.
Okay, so the
And-
motion is
And the licenses that go along with
Okay.
that.
how much the technology costs us, the licenses, and if we turn to textbooks only.
Well,
Yes.
Sure,
We need to know the
sure.
difference.
So just
and I
make
want
that-
everybody to keep in mind that the kids now, they have workbooks too. I know they're not all the textbooks that would replace, but they do
Right.
have workbooks.
So just
And-
state the motion so that
Yeah.
this way we go, because what happens is that Angela, because I'm really good, but it's watch time at night. I want to make sure I'm
That's
listening.
pretty
So
comprehensive.
Angela and I both need to make sure that we can give the direction so that we can work with the team to get what you need. So go ahead, Kelly. I want to make sure.
Craig. Craig, did you have your hand?
how are
Yes.
you?
You have to vote on it. So hold on, Angela,
Madam
repeat.
Chair.
Holly, just
Madam
say to
Chair,
Angela
John.
what your
Just
motion is
so
so
we're all on
that
the
the
same-
committee
same
can make
page.
sure.
Wait,
She has
hold on. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
We have John is making.
Pothole alert.
Thank you.
And that pothole alert is that you also will need, as part of that process, to be in touch with RIDE, because RIDE administers state assessments by computer, which means if you have kids who walk in and have never seen a computer, and then they're told you're taking the state test, talk about your scores going in the toilet.
Yes. Because all the grades, it
then
starts
if
in
your
grade
store-
3,
and then
they
if
don't
your-
use it, then they don't
If
know
your
how to
scores
use it.
then go in the toilet, the state will intervene in the operation of your schools.
And remember, it's also, we have to also, the contract says that your teachers are involved in your curriculum, and there's a district curriculum team. So this has a lot of legs. So I just want to be sure that this is not like, oh, I can get this done and we'll all know what to do next. This is going to require some, and I'm happy to put a list together of other options, but I just want to make sure I come back with what the committee wants me to come back with.
So Polly, can I ask, would you be willing to amend your motion to not go up to 6th grade and maybe go K? Yes.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, this is his house.
The request should really be to have a committee put together to investigate the options, because there's a domino effect from looking at the one-to-one policy that will impact state testing, the way Attorney Anderson brought up, because there is, going paper-based testing does impact, potentially could impact scores. And then also, the superintendent's right, we have a policy in place where our teachers we have a curriculum task force where they choose the curriculum.
It's in your contract.
It's in, right. So I would suggest putting a committee together to investigate all of the different aspects first, and then we come back to you with the process.
Very wise. And I did,
Good job, Beth.
and I did say that I recognize there are going to be teachers that want to have them for their classrooms, for the students to use and access and stuff like that. So there are going to be cases, but I think the parents overall they just don't want the kids bringing them home, and especially at the very young. So a committee would be a good idea.
Perfect.
So should we vote to form a committee?
Make a motion for an agenda item.
Yeah, let's
Okay,
make a motion for an agenda item.
Let's
Okay.
make a
Thank
motion
you,
for an
Dr.
agenda
Kamala.
item
Thanks, Gina.
to discuss these. Thanks.
So
You made her
So this
change
is
her
a future
page.
agenda item, so we're not making a motion on this tonight, right? Right. Yes? Okay. Craig, you're up. You had your
I
hand
make a
raised.
motion to go past 10 o'clock.
Second.
Madam Chair, after hearing what great fund balances that the three towns had, and being part of this school committee years ago, when at one time we used to have a 4% fund balance, which allowed us to eliminate days like today where we could have offset some costs. But the town councils were so adamant that we get it down to, basically, they wanted 0, but at least we stuck at 2.25 because it allowed us 0.25% to cut. But like I said, with 4%, just think, you could have cut to 1.5. But you'd have to build it up over time, so at least discussion in the future for a future agenda item.
Fund balance policy.
Okay, well, I was going to ask the superintendent to write a letter to the town councils articulating the points that I made earlier about we're a regional school district. We have $1.4 million in our fund balance. There are more robust fund balances in other town coffers, and I don't see where a letter can hurt or can spark discussion. I mean, I've heard lots of feedback from my town council in Richmond about supporting Charahoe, and we want to support Charahoe, and it is a shared responsibility. So, you know, I would love for Gina to draft a letter to the town councils, but I don't know that I would want to put that as a future agenda item, because that's something that we can talk about tonight.
John, because the chair mentioned it during the budget, and it is about the budget. Because we have the budget on the agenda, and her questions about the budget, she would make the motion to do that, and they would vote to approve or reject.
About sending a letter to the town council.
If it's about the budget.
Sure.
If it's about the budget?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's tied to the budget item. I mean,
So-
we're hop skipping around the agenda, and I know that doesn't make people happy. I don't think it's a violation of the open meetings law, by the way.
Okay.
But the answer is the budget is on the agenda, and if you want to write them a letter, the committee wants to write them a letter asking them for, to pass the hat and give a contribution, go for it.
Okay. So do we have a motion to empower the superintendent to write a letter to the 3 town councils, asking the town councils to consider shared responsibility in investing in the district with an investment from their fund balances? No motion? Okay.
I make a motion.
Okay. Do we have a second? No second. Okay. Is there a?
I'll second.
Yes, you'll second? Okay. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3. All those opposed? 1, 2. Motion fails. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second. Sorry.
Motion and a second.
Can I just,
Well, we have a motion
you
and a
just-
second to adjourn. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. Good night.